Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Betrayed and Became the Red Eclipse Dragon Emperor movie. Before we start, please go support IsseiOmniversalCaos for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made, there will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Prologue. Clarifications about the fic. In this story, Issei will have a sister and a brother, and Drake will be a woman named Eiko. Well, now that that's cleared up, let's continue. This story would begin after the defeat of the Chaos Brigade and the Beast of the Apocalypse, Trihexa. After that battle, Issei would have fallen into a coma due to the energy depletion he had suffered, and currently he has been in a coma for about 6 months. In the factions, everyone would be waiting for their hero to awaken, but they would be somewhat uneasy, since rumors had reached them that the Chaos Brigade was rearming. But Issei, the brunette, was in a room in the Gremory mansion, where he received all possible care. Well, that was until a couple of weeks ago, since currently nobody cared about Issei's condition. In addition, the girls that the brunette loved stopped visiting him, except for two, which were Irina and Zenobia. You might wonder why no one cared about Issei anymore, apart from Irina and Zenobia. Well, weeks ago an event occurred that changed everything, and that turned the brunette from a hero into a traitor. Weeks ago. Sirzechs was in his office reviewing some documents until Grayfia entered the office. Sirzechs-sama, someone wants to see you. He says it's of vital importance, Grayfia would say. Show him in, Grayfia, Sirzechs would say. Grayfia nodded and let in a boy with black hair and brown streaks, who was wearing a gray t-shirt, a black jacket, gray pants, and had a chain around his neck like a necklace. Hey Kira-kun, what can I do for you? Sirzechs would say with a smile. Note. Kira is Issei's older brother, and he is also part of the Gremory clan, since Rias used 4 pawn pieces to reincarnate him. End of note. Appearance of Issei's brother. Kira, with a serious look, would say, I'm sorry to come so suddenly, but I recently discovered something that you and the other mass need to know. Tell me what you discovered, Sirzechs would say, who would also have become serious. See for yourself, Kira would say, using magic to project a hologram. The hologram showed Issei forming secret agreements with the Chaos Brigade and also showed Issei secretly forming a plan with Rizavan, which consisted of destroying the factions and taking over the underworld. Sirzechs was speechless at what he had seen. His sister's future husband, someone he considered a brother, had betrayed them. I can't believe it, Sirzechs said, completely shocked. Grayfia, who was also there, would be in the same state as her husband, and in her mind she would say, how could Issei do this to us? I couldn't believe it either, but that's the harsh truth. My brother was acting behind our backs all this time, Kira said. I didn't think Issei was capable of this, Sirzechs would say. What do you plan to do? Kira would say. It's a shame, but what Issei has done is treason, and of a high degree. The other leaders need to know this immediately, Sirzechs said, leaving the office followed by Grayfia. Kira would look at this with a sinister smile, as her plan to frame Issei had worked perfectly. It's a shame, little brother, but now you've lost everything, Kira thought to herself. That same day a faction meeting was held, where everyone would find out what the chestnut-haired man had supposedly done. It should be noted that the Sitri and Gremory clans would also be at the meeting. The only people who were not there were Irina and Zenobia, since from the time the chestnut-haired man fell into a coma, all they did was take care of him and wait for him to wake up. The girls of the Gremory clan would be devastated by what they had seen, since Kira had shown them the evidence that incriminated the brunette. The Sitri clan was in the same state. Saji couldn't believe that the one he considered his best friend had done this to them. Sona and some girls in his entourage only had tears in their eyes, since they too had a relationship with the brunette. How could Ani-chan do this to us? Said a brown-haired girl, who was in a sea of tears and was being comforted by Kira. Calm down, Azami, Kira said, as he hugged the young woman known as Azami. Note. Azami is Issei's sister, and she belongs to the Sitri clan. End of note. Appearance of Issei's sister. Why Issei, why, were the words of a devastated Rias, who was being hugged by Akeno. That day the chestnut-haired boy went from being a hero to a traitor. The leaders had decided that when Issei awoke, the Red Dragon Empress would be taken from him and he would be executed for his betrayal. Days later. Gremory Castle, Issei's room. Kira would enter Issei's room and look at her brother with a smile. I could kill you now, but it's not the right time yet, Kira thought. At that moment, a red gauntlet appeared on Issei's hand. Tell me why you came, a female voice said, coming from the gauntlet. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Red Empress, Kira would say. Answer me why you came, the dragon would say. I only came to suggest that you come with me and leave my useless brother behind, Kira would say. And why would I do that? The dragon would say. Don't you realize he's just using you? My brother doesn't love you. You're just a tool for him. Besides, he destroyed your pride as a dragon by turning you into that stupid op-eye dragon, Kira would say. The dragon would simply remain silent upon hearing those words. I'll let you think about it, see you later, Kira said, leaving the room. What none of them knew was that another energy inside Issei had heard everything. Present. In Issei's mind, the chestnut-haired boy would be in a completely black space. Where am I? Issei would say, confused. Nice to meet you, Hyoudou Issei, a mysterious voice would say. Who are you? The chestnut-haired man said, becoming defensive. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I just wanted to meet you and give you a small gift, said a large black figure, shaped similarly to a wolf, but behind it was another figure resembling a dragon. This figure would stand in front of Issei, who would calm down but was still alert. Tell me who you are, Issei would ask. It's not the right time for me to tell you that yet, besides, I don't have time for that either, since that dragon could awaken at any moment, the figure said. You mean Iko, the chestnut-haired man would say. That's right, well let's stop wasting time, the figure would say, placing what appeared to be one of its claws on the chestnut-haired man's chest. Hey, what are you going to do? The brunette would say, but he would fall silent as he saw light shine in his chest. As the light dissipated, Issei said in surprise, what did you do to me? I only gave you a small gift, now I must go, but before I do I want to warn you that something very bad is about to happen, so you better be prepared, the figure said. Issei couldn't say anything, because at that moment he would open his eyes, waking up from the coma he was in. The chestnut-haired man would sit on the bed and he would be a little confused by what had happened. But what was all that about? The chestnut-haired man wondered. Issei would come out of his thoughts when he heard the bedroom door open. Upon seeing who it was, the brunette would smile, for in front of him were Irina and Zenobia, who with tears in their eyes, would run towards Issei and hug him. You don't know how long I've waited for this moment, Zenobia said, still crying. I missed you so much, Irina would say, who was also a sea of tears, which expressed the complete happiness she felt at that moment. Issei would wipe away both of their tears and say with a smile, you know I don't like it when you cry. Zenobia and Irina would break into smiles and finish wiping away their tears. Well, Issei-kun, you were in a coma for a long time, so I think you should reward us, Irina said. Irina is right, we were without you for a long time, Zenobia would say. Girls, tell me what you have in mind, the brunette said hesitantly. Irina and Zenobia would look at each other and nod. Issei, we want you to make us yours, Zenobia said firmly. Issei was somewhat surprised by those words. Are you sure, girls? The brunette would say. We are more than sure, you are the man we love and we want to be the mothers of your children, Irina would say. The chestnut-haired man was about to say something, but he would be interrupted by a kiss from Zenobia, a kiss that would be instantly reciprocated. I won't be left behind, Irina said and began kissing the chestnut-haired man's neck. The three of them slowly undressed until they were completely naked. Upon seeing the naked bodies of his girls, Issei would say, they are beautiful. This would bring a slight blush to both of them, who without wasting any time would kiss the brunette again, while caressing his member with their hands. Well folks, I leave what happened from this point on to your imagination, so don't choke the goose XD. 2 hours later. The amorous act between Issei and the duo of girls had concluded, and at this moment Irina and Zenobia would be sleeping peacefully on either side of the chestnut-haired boy, who was only hugging them. What Issei didn't notice was that on the side of each girl's abdomen, a black mark appeared in the shape of a wolf and another in the shape of a terrifying dragon, which meant that both were now his females. That was intense. I hope I wasn't too rough with the girls, since it was their first time, the brunette thought. I didn't think you'd score two so fast, said a voice the chestnut-haired man recognized. That's you're the one who's gone, Issei would say. That's right, said the figure that Issei had met hours before. What do you mean by marking? The chestnut-haired man asked, confused. Don't tell me you didn't notice, seriously you're slow kid, look at both of their abs, and you'll see what I'm talking about, the figure would say. Issei would look at Irina and Zenovia's abdomen, and he would see that wolf-shaped mark. What does that mark mean? The chestnut tree would ask. There are some things I need to explain to you about that mark, so listen carefully as I don't have much time, since that dragon will soon awaken. Firstly, that mark proves that they are your females now, secondly, that mark serves as a radar, the figure would say. What do you mean by radar? The chestnut-haired man would say. You shut up and listen, what I mean is that with that mark you will be able to know where they are, just as they will also be able to know where you are, in addition you will also be able to feel their feelings, so that you understand me, you will be able to know if they are sad, happy or if something worries them, if at any time they were to be in danger or were hurt, you will be able to know it through the mark. The last part is the most important, so listen carefully. Now that you have marked those two, they will not be able to stay away from each other for long. What I mean is that they will not be able to be separated for long, at least for a while, because if they were to go far enough away from you, or you were to go far enough away from them, all three of you would start to get sick and die. So you'd better take very good care of them, because if something happens to them, it would be lethal for you, just as if something happened to you, it would be harmful to them, the figure would say. Thank you for that information, and don't worry, I won't let anything happen to them, Issei said. That's the spirit, kid. Well, I have to go, and remember what I told you, something very bad is about to happen, the figure would say. After that, Issei would fall asleep, as the time he had spent with his girls had left him exhausted. Hours later. Issei and the girls would wake up. Well, I think we should go back home, Issei said. You're right, the others will be happy to see you, Zenovia would say. That's right, they'll definitely tackle you when they see you, Irina would say. I think they'll want to make up for lost time too, Zenovia would say. I don't think I'll sleep for a long time, the chestnut-haired man thought. After that, the three of them would get dressed and go to the Hyoudou residence in a magic circle. At the Hyoudou residence, a magic circle would appear in the room. Well, you must be hungry, dear. Go and see the others while we prepare something for you to eat, Irina said. Note. Irina and Zenovia learned to cook because Issei's mother taught them. End of note. Issei nodded and went upstairs to the top floor. He entered Ria's room but didn't find her. This surprised the brunette. He searched the other rooms, but found nothing. The brunette went to his room and sat on the bed. Where could the girls be? My brothers and my parents aren't here either, the brunette thought. Issei would try to communicate with Aiko, but she would not respond. That's strange, Aiko isn't answering me, but what could be happening, Issei would say. Now that I think about it, what did that guy mean when he told me that something really bad was about to happen? I don't know, but I have a bad feeling, the brunette thought to himself. The girls in the kitchen would also be worried. You know, Irina, something's got me worried, Zenovia would say. To be honest, I feel the same way, Irina would say. The others suddenly stopped visiting Issei, it's like they don't care anymore. Besides, I could see that they were spending much more time with Issei's brother, Zenovia would say. Zenovia, I feel that Issei-kun is in danger, Irina said. I understand you, because I feel the same way, Zenovia would say. No matter what happens, I won't allow them to hurt Issei, Irina said. Me too, I'll finish off any bastard who tries to lay a finger on my Issei, Zenovia would say. But Issei, he would be going down the stairs towards the kitchen. The chestnut-haired man thought to himself, I don't know what the hell is going on, but the only thing I do know is that I have to protect Irina and Zenovia at all costs. Chapter 1 Betrayal. Issei would be eating the food his girls had prepared while chatting with them. You girls really do cook very well, Issei would say. Thank you, Issei-kun, Irina would say. I'm glad you like it, Zenovia would say. Hey Irina, I have a question, you're still an angel, right? The blue-haired girl asked. Yes, to what do I owe your question? Irina would say, unfurling her white wings. I thought you'd become a fallen angel after what happened between Issei and us, Zenovia said. So that's what it was, well, Michael-sama explained to me once that an angel becomes a fallen angel when their heart is filled with bad feelings or lust. The reason why I didn't become a fallen angel is because I didn't give myself to Issei-kun because of a feeling of lust, I gave myself to him because I love him with all my heart. Michael-sama also told me that it's not the first time an angel has fallen in love with someone. This has happened in the past as well. But as long as the feelings the angel feels are pure and sincere, the angel won't become a fallen angel, Irina would say. The chestnut tree would fold up its wings after saying that. What I wonder is, where could the others be? Issei said. It seems strange to me too that they're not at home, Irina would say. Perhaps they had something important to do, Zenovia would say. See so deep sir, dearia Issei. Minutes later. The chestnut tree had finished eating. I think I'll take a bath now, Issei said. We can accompany you, Issei-kun, Irina would say. Okay, the brunette would say with a smile. So the three of them would take a bath together and incidentally they had some action while they were bathing. Some time later. Issei and his girls were in the living room watching television, but then a magic circle appeared in the room, from which Grayfia emerged. Hola Grayfia-san, dearia Issei. Issei-sama, I've come to inform you that the leaders are waiting for you at the academy, Grayfia said in a cold tone. Issei noticed the cold tone in which Grayfia had spoken to him, which puzzled the brunette, but before he could ask anything, Grayfia disappeared in a magic circle. So that the leaders would want to see you, Zenovia would say. I don't know, but I have to go, Issei would say. We'll go with you, Irina would say. Bien vamos, Issei would say. The three of them would arrive at the entrance of the academy in a magic circle. I don't know why, but something tells me we shouldn't go in, Irina would say. Issei, I have a bad feeling, Zenovia would say. Calm down, if something happens I'll protect you, Issei would say. The three of them would enter and walk until they reached the academy courtyard. They would see that the Sitri and Gremory entourages were there, along with Issei's brothers and his parents. The leaders of each faction were also present, including the Yokai and Nordic factions, all of whom looked at the brown-haired boy with hatred. Issei was confused by the way everyone was looking at him, and before the brunette could say anything, Sirzechs spoke. Issei Hyoudou, for your act of betrayal, you are banished from the supernatural world and sentenced to die, Sirzechs would say. Esto dejaria impactados a Issei Zenovia y Arena. Betrayal, what the hell are you talking about? Issei would say. Stop denying it, brother, everyone already knows what you've done, Kira said, giving a slight smile. What do you mean? I haven't done anything, Issei would say. Stop denying it and stop thinking I consider you a brother, but you just turned out to be disgusting trash, Sirzechs said angrily. From this moment on you cease to be our son, the chestnut-haired boy's parents would say. Issei was about to answer, but he couldn't because Kuoh would lunge towards him to attack him with his sword. The brown-haired boy managed to dodge Kuoh's attack, who would attack him again, but this would be stopped by Zenovia, who had summoned Durandal. What's wrong with all of you? Why are you treating Issei like this? Zenovia said, as she clashed swords with Kuoh. Let's kill the traitor, Kuoh would say. But Issei, the chestnut-haired boy would try to summon the boosted gear, but he wouldn't succeed. But why doesn't he appear? Issei would think. The chestnut tree would be surrounded by the Sitri and Gremory clans, who attacked him without any mercy. Irina tried to help the brunette, but she was stopped by Michael, who had stood in front of her. Michael-sama, please help us, Irina would say. Michael would say nothing, and would use magic to immobilize Irina. He would approach Irina and take out the ace card. Irina would feel immense pain and fall to the ground. Why Michael-sama? Irina would say weakly. I'm sorry Irina, but you're no longer needed, Michael would say. Upon hearing that, Irina began to shed some tears. The chestnut-haired girl tried to stand up, but she was attacked by Azami, who attacked without any consideration, leaving her badly injured and almost on the verge of death. But Zenovia, she would be fighting on par with Kuoh, but Saji would arrive to help Kuoh, and the two of them would start to beat up Zenovia, who would be badly injured. Thanks to the mark, Issei would realize the state that Irina and Zenovia were in. Girls, why are you doing this? The brunette would say, continuing to dodge their attacks. Shut your mouth, you bastard, Rias would say, launching a beam at the chestnut-haired boy's leg, causing him to fall to the ground. He would try to get back up, but Akeno and Sona would launch a combined attack that would hit the chestnut-haired boy directly, causing him serious injuries. The girls were going to continue their attack, but they would be stopped by Kira, who would say. That's enough, girls. Remember that I will be the one to kill my brother. Okay Kira-kun, Rias would say, giving Kira a kiss on the lips, leaving the brunette surprised, who would feel a pang in his heart. Ara, don't keep it to yourself, Rias, Akeno said with a smile. And tell me what you decided, Kira would say. That question confused the chestnut-haired man, but at that moment the boosted gear would appear. I'll go with you, I don't want to stay inside someone like him anymore, Aiko said. Issei couldn't believe what he was hearing. Why Aiko? The chestnut-haired man would say. Because of you, my pride as a dragon was destroyed. You're just trash, Aiko would say. Those words would break the chestnut tree's heart. The boosted gear would disappear from the chestnut-haired man's arm, and then a red sphere would emerge from his chest. This sphere would enter Kira's body, who would simply smile. Rias would approach Issei and say, you still have something that belongs to me. The Redeed would take out Issei's 4 pawn pieces, causing the brunette a great deal of pain, and leaving him with 4 holes, from which a lot of blood would begin to flow. Why are you Rias? The chestnut-haired man would say weakly. Because you're just trash, I regret ever meeting you, you disgust me, Rias would say. This would break the chestnut-haired boy's heart even more. Small tears would begin to fall from Issei's face. And just so you know, we're with Kira-kun now, and we've already given ourselves to him, Rias would say. The chestnut tree's heart would be shattered after those words. Kira would grab Issei and drag him to where the leaders were, Kuoh and Saji would bring a very badly injured Zenovia who was barely conscious, while Azami would bring an unconscious Irina. Why are you doing this, damn it? Zenovia would say. You want to know, well look, Kira would say, who would use magic to create a hologram. The hologram showed the evidence that incriminated Issei for treason. That's not me, Issei would say. Stop lying already. We even interrogated some prisoners we captured in the battle with the Chaos Brigade and they confirmed everything, Seraphil would say. At that, Zenovia would give a small laugh and then say. Don't tell me you swallowed that crap. I thought demons were the ones who manipulated people. Who would have thought they were just as easily manipulated? Zenovia said mockingly. Zenovia the Fourth, you still belong to my peerage. I can give you a second chance if you join us and leave that traitor, Rias would say. The only traitors here are you. I'd rather die than be around such disgusting people, Zenovia would say. Come on, Zenovia-chan, join us. If you want, I'll make you one of my future wives too, Kira said. Listen to me carefully, Kira Hyoudou, I would never be with a worm like you. The only man I love is Issei. I know you're behind all of this. I don't know why you're doing it, but I'll tell you one thing. You'll always be a failure and you'll never be able to change that, Zenobia said. Kira would become very angry at Zenovia's words, he would summon the boosted gear and launch a dragon shot at Zenobia, who would be on the verge of death. You damned wretch, I swear you'll regret this, Issei said, trying to do something, but his wounds were too severe and he couldn't move. What do we do with them? Auden would say. Do what you want with them, but the Los Angeles faction will keep Durandal, Michael would say. Okay, Sirzechs would say. Are you sure you don't want those two, Kira-kun? Rias would say. No, they have already been tainted with the traitor's essence, I was able to realize this thanks to Aiko-chan, Kira would say. Then let's throw them in a garbage dump since they'll soon die, Yusaka would say. That sounds good to me, Sirzechs would say. Rias would approach Zenobia and take the horse piece from her. Then the three would be taken in a magic circle by Sirzechs and Azazel to an ordinary garbage dump where they would be thrown away like trash. Well, we have to go, Azazel would say. Thus the two would go in a magic circle. Issei, who was still conscious, would finally fall into unconsciousness, awaiting his imminent death. In the mind of the chestnut tree. That figure would have seen everything that had happened. I cannot let you die, boy. From now on, the spirit of the wolf and the black dragon will live in you, the figure would say, drawing a symbol on the ground with its claws. Outside, the same symbol would appear on Issei's abdomen, which would be covered by a light. As that light dissipated, it could be seen that the chestnut tree had undergone some physical changes, adopting a new appearance. That will be enough, you'll recover soon. It's good that I was able to transfer some of my energy to those women when they were with Issei. Thanks to that, they won't die, but I also sense dragon energy inside them, besides my own and that of this boy, before he marked them the figure said. Outside, a figure could be seen flying in the sky without the need for wings. She had pink hair tied in two pigtails, but also a suit that was too strange. The heir of the wolf of chaos and the bearer of the black dragon of the apocalypse in one body, although I am surprised that they are alive despite all the wounds they have, I will not let the demons continue to harm people, I must take the friends, and it is time for everyone to know that once again the wolf clan is to rise again, just like the clan of the evil dragon. She takes them and shoots off at full speed until she disappears into the dark night. Chapter 2. 2 weeks later. Issei was in a hospital bed, the brunette slowly waking up. He would get up but would grab his head trying to remember what had happened. Issei would remember everything that had happened, the betrayal of his former friends and family, as well as the betrayal of his former girls. You've finally woken up, a female voice would say, pulling the brunette from his thoughts. Issei looked up and saw that in front of him was a girl with long pink hair and a very strange outfit, and that was Milim. Who are you? The brunette asked seriously. Relax, kid, you're standing face to face with a deity, but it's normal that you don't know me. It's a pleasure. I'm Milim Nava, the daughter of the original Demon King and an evil dragon. The daughter of the original Demon King and an evil dragon, perhaps impossible, there is no record of you, no one has spoken of you. It's normal since I disappeared and faked my death. You see, I've been watching you for a long time because there's enormous power inside you, belonging to two clans, but I'll explain that later. For now, I want you to rest, but if you want to see your other two girls, go ahead. Issei would get up hurriedly from the bed and say I can't stay here, I have to find two people. The girl with blue hair says, and the other one with brown hair is in the other hallway from here, in a room with a golden door. They are being attended to by my best wizards. Thank you. He got up and headed towards his two girls who had been with him during that betrayal, which he would never forget. But he felt a great hatred towards all supernatural beings, except for the girl who had saved his life, and even more so towards the factions, his former harem, and his brothers. You shouldn't have so much life in your heart, but it's normal to feel this way after what they did to you, said a terrifying voice, much worse than the other. But who are you? Issei said, confused. I can explain that to you, a voice in Issei's mind would say. Here's to, dearia Issei. Listen to me, Issei, your change in appearance is because you inherited my power. In short, you are my reincarnation, the figure would say. What am I, you what? Issei would say, surprised. I'll explain that to you later, now go see how your women are doing. By the way, nice outfit, the figure would say. You think so? I've never dressed like this before, said Issei, who was now wearing an orange vest, combat wristbands, red pants, and black shoes. Issei's clothing and appearance. Upon arriving at the room, Issei would enter the room. Inside the room, Irina and Zenobia would already be awake, both very confused, until they heard a voice they would instantly recognize. I'm glad you're both okay, Issei said with a smile. Issei, they would both say, and they would quickly go towards the chestnut-haired boy and hug him. I thought I had lost you, my love, Zenobia would say. I don't know what I would do if something happened to you, Irina would say. Don't worry, I promise I'll never leave you, Issei said. They would both give Issei a kiss and then stop hugging him. The two girls looked at Issei, noticing his change in appearance. But what happened to you, Issei-kun? You look different, Irina said. That's right, you look like a different person, Zenobia would say. It's a long story, I'll tell you later, Issei said. Hey Issei, could you tell me where we are? Zenobia asked. To be honest, I don't know. For now, it's best if you change your clothes. The girl outside told me she left a new set of clothes on the table over there, Issei said. Okay, but then we need to find out what's going on, Irina would say. Okay, Issei would say. Minutes later. Zenobia and Irina would have already changed. The blue-haired girl wore a white tank top, loose blue pants, and combat boots. While Irina wore a red leather jacket under a white tank top and pink shorts, white knee pads and red and pink sneakers, the brunette also tied her hair back into two pigtails. How do we look, Zenobia would say. They look beautiful, Issei said with a smile. The girls blushed a little at Issei's words. At that moment, some knocks were heard on the door. Boy, can we come in? Said a voice that belonged to Milim. Yes, of course, go ahead, Issei would say. At once, Milim and her companion. Who are they, Issei? Zenobia asked, alert in case anything happened. Who are you? Irina would say seriously. Relax, Irina, they are not our enemies, Issei would say. Allow me to introduce myself, I am Milim Nava, I was the one who found you in that garbage dump and brought you to these facilities. And why did you help us? Issei asked. When I found them, their condition was pitiful. I was surprised they were still alive. I could have easily left them there to die, but I know there was a reason they stayed alive, despite having one foot in the grave, so I decided to lend them a hand so they could achieve their goal, Milim said. Something tells me that's not all, right? Zenobia would say. You're right, there's something else they should know, Milim would say. And that would be it, Irina would say. You're no longer human, or well, not entirely, Milim would say. How come we're not human anymore? Issei would say. You belong to a clan, but they, therefore, belong to dragons too powerful inside that they cannot awaken, Milim would say. Are you trying to say that we always allow a different clan and that we carry over very powerful dragons? Zenobia would say doubtfully. That's right, for a long time you had it and your blood was filled with it, just like that power couldn't be awakened because it was very hidden, Milim would say. You mean we can transform into animals? Irina would say. Something like that, it's like a metamorphosis, but don't worry, you can return to normal whenever you want. Also, when you transform into your beast mode, you can acquire great strength and resistance. If you want to polish or improve your abilities, it will depend on you, Milim would say. And how do we transform ourselves, Irina would ask. They'll have to find that out, Milim would reply. Hey, you're supposed to help us, Zenobia would say. I can help you with that, the devil would say. Then tell us what we should do, Issei said. Think of something that makes you angry and focus on that, the devil would say. Issei and the girls would nod, they would close their eyes and do as Milim said. Issei would remember the betrayal of his former friends and family, but what made Issei's fury grow the most was remembering Aiko's words and her betrayal. Issei would begin to transform, while in his mind he would say, that damn bitch changed me, I swear I will make her regret it, I will tear her to pieces with my own hands. With Irina, she too would remember the betrayal, but especially the words of a certain archangel. I'm sorry Irina, but you're no longer needed, were the words echoing in Irina's mind. Irina began to transform as she thought, I was willing to risk my life to make you proud, and this is how you repay me? I swear I will not rest until I see your corpse, Archangel Michael. The same thing would be happening with Zenobia. She wanted to see all those damn traitors dead, especially the Gremory clan. The blue-haired girl would also begin to transform. You will all pay, you damn trash, Zenobia would think. Now 3 imposing beasts could be seen. Incredible, Milim would say, totally surprised. Issei had transformed into an imposing wolf, Irina had also transformed into wolves. Issei. Irina. Zenobia. The 3 of them would be astonished when they looked at each other. This is amazing, Issei would say. You're right, Zenobia would say. I feel an incredible adrenaline rush, Irina would say. Congratulations, you did it, Milim would say. Interesting, the devil thought, before giving a slight smile. Some time later. Issei and the girls had already transformed back. Hey, I don't think your help will be free. I suppose you'll want something in return, Issei said. Let's just say they owe me a favor now, Milim would say. The favor, whatever you want, Issei would say. Well, I guess they have nowhere to stay, right? Milim would say. That's right, but it doesn't matter, we'll see what to do, Issei would say. Don't worry, I took care of getting you an apartment, so I'll wait outside to take you to your new home, Milim said, leaving the room with Diablo. What do you think of all this? Zenobia would ask. I still don't fully trust that guy, Irina would say. Me neither, but now it's best to accept his help, Issei would say. And what will we do about what happened? Zenobia would ask. I think the three of us are clear on what our goal is from now on, Issei would reply. The two girls would simply nod in agreement. Now we only have each other, I promise that no matter what happens we will always be together, Issei said. Our union will never be broken, Irina would say. We will be one, and we will wipe out anyone who dares to stand in our way, Zenobia would say. Chapter 3 From Hero to Villain. After the entire supernatural world learned of Issei's supposed betrayal, everyone considered the brown-haired boy the worst scum in the world. The children who once admired the op-eyed dragon and considered him their hero now despised him, and everything related to the op-eyed dragon was burned. Currently, the supernatural world had a new hero and pillar of the factions, the new Sekiryuutei, Hyoudou, although there were some people who still believed Issei was innocent. Aside from Issei, Irina and Zenobia were also considered traitors, since they were on the side of the scum Hyoudou. Now we will focus on Issei's old home, the Hyoudou mansion. In the room that used to be Issei's, several moans could be heard, as inside, Issei's former harem and Kira were in the middle of a sexual act. At this moment, Kira was penetrating Rias, who was moaning incessantly, while the others were on the bed and some on the floor, panting with pleasure, with a white liquid flowing from their femininity. More, don't stop, Kira-kun, Rias said, completely aroused. Rias, I'm coming, where do you want it? Kira said, penetrating Rias more rapidly. Inside, I want it all inside, fill me up, Kira-kun, Rias said. After those words, Kira came inside Rias, who stuck out her tongue from the tremendous orgasm. I love you, Kira-kun, Rias said, before collapsing onto the bed, exhausted. Kira would just give an arrogant smile. Now he had everything he always deserved, and the best part was that he got rid of his useless brother. Now he had the girls Issei once loved. I want you to give me love too, Kira-kun, Akeno would say, licking her lips. Kira, with a smile, would approach Akeno and begin to penetrate her. The others would also recover and be ready for round 2. The women present were Rias, Asia, Azami, Kaneko, Akeno, Sona, Tsubaki, all the women in Sitri's entourage, Kuroka, Yasaka, Roswas, Penemu, and Serafal. For those women, Kira was the new love of their lives. Azami, Issei's sister, had been secretly in love with him, but when she learned of the brunette's betrayal, her heart was shattered. Kira comforted her, and little by little, the brunette began to see Kira in a different light, and finally, she fell in love with him. The sexual act would continue for several more hours, and the only sounds were moans and obscene words. In the Phoenix mansion, a certain blonde girl was locked in her room crying while holding a photo of Issei. This was Ravel Phoenix, one of the people who believed in the brunette's innocence. Issei, I know you're still alive. My heart tells me so. Please, my love, come back. I need you, Ravel said, crying. What could be noticed about Phoenix, aside from her downcast expression, was that she had a slightly swollen belly, a sign that she was pregnant, as Ravel was expecting Issei's child. You might wonder how this happened. Well, she gave herself to Issei 2 weeks before the battle against the Chaos Brigade in Trahixa, and when the brown-haired boy was in a coma from the battle, Ravel began to feel some discomfort such as nausea and dizziness. Shortly after, she found out that she was pregnant with Issei's child, but the only ones who knew about this were her family, since Ravel wanted it to be a surprise. But the real surprise came when she found out what had happened with Issei. Of course, she didn't believe anything they said about him. She just locked herself in her room and waited for her beloved to come for her and the baby. Things weren't good for Ravel either, since her parents hid her pregnancy. It was a disgrace for her to be pregnant by the traitor, and they planned to give the child up for adoption when it was born. They also had arranged a marriage for the Phoenix with an heir from a respectable family. All of this devastated Ravel, since they wanted to separate her from her child and marry her off to someone she didn't love. What no one had noticed was that Ravel was getting sick. She still hadn't realized she had a strange mark on her abdomen, which she got when she had sex with Issei. Meanwhile in heaven, a certain seraph watched everything that was happening in a crystal sphere, which she had hidden in her room. Thanks to this artifact, Gabriel knew that Ravel was pregnant and also realized that she was getting sick. Gabriel's appearance. Gabriel was another of the people who believed in Issei's innocence. She also felt that Issei was alive, but what worried her now was Ravel's condition. The seraph felt someone approaching, so she quickly hid the crystal sphere. The Archangel Michael, Gabriel's brother, entered the room. What can I do for you? Gabriel said in a cold voice. Michael noticed his sister's tone and felt a little saddened, since ever since Issei was declared a traitor, Gabriel had been cold and curt with him. I just wanted to let you know that there's a celebration tonight in honor of Kira-kun, Michael said. Well, you didn't need to tell me, since I'm not going, Gabriel said. But sister, this is a good opportunity for you to meet Kira-kun. He's a good man for you, Michael said. I'm not interested in someone like him. Now go, I want to be alone, Gabriel said. Sister, it's for the best for you. He'll be able to get that disgusting traitor out of your head. Look how happy the others are with him, Michael said. Gabriel couldn't take it anymore and slapped Michael because she wasn't going to allow them to speak ill of Issei. Michael was surprised by his sister's action because she had never behaved that way before. First of all, don't call me sister again. I stopped being one a long time ago. Second, don't compare me to those hypocritical bitches and never speak about Issei like that again, Gabriel said angrily. I don't understand why you're defending him after everything he did. He looked down on all of us. We welcomed him with open arms and he spat in our faces, Michael said angrily, fed up with his sister's attitude. Listen, I know Issei well. He may be a pervert and a fool, but he's never a traitor. The only trash here is you. He gave everything for us. He was willing to give his life for what he loved. Now I realize you only used him and were just waiting for the slightest excuse to throw him away, Gabriel said, tears welling in his eyes. You're wrong. Understand, he turned his back on us, Michael said. You only believed in that cheap evidence that damn Kira gave you, and if that wasn't enough, you also believed the words of the criminals you captured, but you never believed in Issei, you never believed in the man who saved you, the man who broke his back day after day for the supernatural world. You're just a bunch of ungrateful bastards, Gabriel said, now on the verge of tears. Michael didn't know what to say, and the only thing he did was leave the room. Gabriel dried his tears and tried to calm down, because at this moment he had to be strong. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to find you, Issei, and we'll never be separated again, Gabriel said with determination. Hours later, Gremory Mansion. Everyone was already gathered for the party in honor of their supposed hero. The leaders of each faction were present, including the Norse, as well as some Olympian gods like Zeus and his daughters Artemis and Athena. At that moment, Kira made his entrance accompanied by his girls. Everyone present began to applaud, and after that, the congratulations and gifts from each faction leader began. Each leader gave Kira a territory within their faction, in addition to their friendship and unconditional support. The party continued as normal until Zeus took the floor. Allow me to make an announcement, Zeus said. Everyone listened attentively to what the Olympian god had to say. I wish to announce the engagement between my daughters Artemis and Athena and the pillar of the factions, Kira Hyoudou, Zeus said. After the announcement, applause and congratulations followed immediately. When everything calmed down, it was Ria's turn to speak, as she also had something very important to say. I also have something very important to say, and that is that my friends and I are pregnant, Ria said. After that news, the congratulations began again. Sirzechs and his parents congratulated Rias, the Sitri patriarchs congratulated Sona and Serafal, Barakiel congratulated Akeno, and the others would also be congratulated. Everything was happiness for them. What a pity that their nightmare would soon begin. Aiko watched everything that was happening from inside Kira. The dragon was in a mental conflict, beginning to question whether she had done the right thing by abandoning Issei. The dragon began to remember all the moments she had spent with Issei, but especially one. Flashback. Aiko had told Issei that all his previous wielders had always seen her as a weapon, but the brown-haired boy told her that he didn't see her that way. For him, the dragon was very important and more than a partner. Issei had fallen in love with her and he promised to one day take her out of the boosted gear so they could be together, to which Aiko accepted with a smile and a few tears because she was also in love with Issei. Then flashback. The dragon began to cry after remembering that and she realized the mistake she had made. Issei, what have I done? Aiko said through tears. Elsewhere, a well-known white-haired boy sat on a rock waiting for someone. The magic circle appeared in the area and Gabriel emerged from it. You finally arrived. I thought you were at that disgusting party, Vali said. I'd rather become a fallen angel than be surrounded by those bastards, Gabriel said. Well, anyway, did you manage to find Hyoudou? Vali asked. No, I've searched tirelessly, but I haven't found anything. Now that he's human, it will be very difficult to find him, Gabriel said. I haven't been able to find him either. Like you said, now that he no longer has the red dragon's aura, it will be even harder to find him, Vali said. And what about your team? Gabriel asked. They haven't found him either. Besides, Lefay is very depressed. All she wants is to find Hyoudou, Vali said. Before they could continue, another magic circle appeared, from which Milikas and Kuoh emerged. What a surprise. I thought you'd be at that blasted party, Vali said. We couldn't stand being with those trash for another minute, Kuoh said. Yeah, it was all very unpleasant, Milikas said. So tell us, have you found him? Kuoh asked. Unfortunately not. Remember, he's human. It won't be easy to find him, Gabriel said. What about Irina and Zenobia? They must be with him, Milica said. If they're still alive, Vali said. If Issei-san is alive, they surely are too, Milica said. I hope so, Vali would say. By the way, we have news for you, although you probably won't like it, Kuoh would say. The aforementioned would tell Vali and Gabriel about the engagement of Zeus's daughters to Kira, and she would also tell them about the pregnancies of the brunette's ex-girlfriends. Gabriel just clenched his fists tightly, as he really wanted to tear those damned women to pieces, but he calmed himself so he wouldn't fall. How quickly they forgot about Hyoudou, but I'm sure they'll soon get what they deserve, Vali would say. The important thing now is to find Issei and also proof of his innocence, Kuoh would say. I think the second will have to wait, the most important thing now is to find Issei-kun, Gabriel would say. Why do you say that, Vali would say doubtfully. Gabriel would tell everyone that Ravel was expecting Issei's child, which astonished everyone there, as they hadn't expected it. But what worried everyone was learning that she had an arranged engagement and what they planned to do with the baby when it was born. This is bad. We have to do something to help Ravel-sama, Milikas would say. The only thing we can do is find Hyoudou as soon as possible. He's the only one who can stop all this, Vali would say. We don't have much time. The wedding is in a week, but what worries me most is Ravel's health. She's getting worse every day, Gabriel would say. Damn, I forgot, Vali said, agitated. What's wrong? Everyone asked. If we don't find Hyoudou soon, Ravel Phoenix and her baby will die, Vali said. Everyone was alarmed by what they had heard. Why do you say that? Gabriel asked, agitated. You see, when a dragon marks a female, they can't be separated for too long, otherwise they will both die. Ravel Phoenix definitely has Issei's mark. There's something you're wrong about, Vali, Gabriel said. What do you mean? Vali asked. Well, on a few occasions I've visited the Phoenix house without anyone noticing to check on Ravel, and when I analyzed her aura to see if the child was Issei's, I realized something, Gabriel said. What did you find out? Vali asked curiously. I could clearly sense Issei's essence in Ravel's womb, but the aura it gave off was different, as it wasn't that of a dragon, and I could see that she has a strange mark on her abdomen, but apparently she hasn't noticed it yet, Gabriel said. A strange mark, and what shape was it? Vali asked with even more curiosity. It had a shape similar to that of a wolf, but also a dragon, Gabriel said. Instantly, the white gauntlet appeared on Vali's arm. Are you sure about that? Albion asked. Yes, very sure, Gabriel said. I thought they had become extinct, but apparently the soul of one of them is in Hyoudou Issei, Albion said. What do you mean, Albion-sama? Milikas asked. Long ago, when the Great War between the factions broke out, there were two very powerful clans. One of them was us dragons, and the other was the wolf clan. The latter became greatly feared, even by the dragons, as they possessed enormous power. But the being who caused the greatest terror was their leader. It is said that he was so powerful that not even a dragon god or an Olympian god could stand against him. Some rumors said that even Great Red feared this powerful wolf. The factions would be mere flies before him, Albion would say. And what happened to that clan? Kuoh would ask. The factions decided to temporarily halt their conflict and united to eliminate the clan, as it posed a significant threat. They even received help from the Olympians. Obviously, the task was not easy. There were deaths on both sides. But things took a turn for the worse when they faced the leader. They quickly realized they could never defeat him, so they decided to seal him away. The battle was brutal and bloody, but in the end, the factions and the Olympians achieved their goal, successfully sealing the soul and power of that being, Albion said. Wait, if you say that guy was sealed, that means the seal broke, Vali said. That's most likely it, Albion said. That means Issei-kun has that leader's power, Gabriel said. It's possible, and if he does have it, it's best if no one angers him, because he could destroy us all, Albion said. We must prevent anything from happening to Ravel Phoenix at all costs, Vali said. My partner is right. If anything happens to her, all hell could break loose in the supernatural world. Just like dragons, for a wolf, the most important thing is his mate, and even more so if she's expecting a pup, Albion said. I think I have an idea for finding Issei-kun, Gabriel said. And what is it, Gabriel-sama? Milikas asked. With my crystal ball, we can find him. I just need some of Issei's DNA, either hair or his blood. With just that, the ball will track him quickly, Gabriel said. It will be very difficult to get something like that, Vali said. You're forgetting something. If Irina and Zenobia are with him, we could also use their DNA, Kuoh said. Even so, it's still complicated, Vali said. We don't have time to lose, we have to hurry, Milikas said. Milikas-chan is right, Gabriel said. Alright, for now we have to go back to them, but if we find anything we'll let you know, Kuoh said. I'll go back with my team and we'll start searching, Volley said. I'll go back to the sky, if I find anything I'll tell you immediately, Gabriel said. Before we go, no one has to know that Ravel Phoenix is carrying a descendant of such a powerful clan, as that would put her in danger, Volley said. Everyone nodded and then each one left in a magic circle. Unknown location. An unrecognizable figure sat on a throne. The only thing that could be discerned about him were his eyes, which reflected pure evil. The figure was shrouded in darkness. The only light illuminating the place was the moon. The woman with black hair entered the room and knelt before the figure. "My lord, I bring you news," the woman said. "Speak, Dahlia," the unknown figure said. "The plan was a complete success, my lord," the woman known as Dahlia said. The figure began to laugh maniacally after hearing that. "I didn't think it would be so easy. Those factions turned out to be a bunch of inept fools. They themselves ended the life of the only one who could protect them. Now that Issei Hyoudou is gone, I will soon be able to make my plans a reality and no one will be able to stop me. Very soon, everyone will be at my feet," the unknown figure said. The aforementioned would laugh again, for he would soon be able to achieve his goals. The factions would soon realize the mistake they had made, but it was too late, as Issei was no longer there to save them. Chapter 4. The black car would stop outside a complex where there were some apartments. In said car were Milim, Diablo, Issei and his girls. "What are we doing here?" Issei would ask. "This is your new home," Hyoudou would reply. "It looks like a small place, but I like it," Zenobia would say. "Follow me, I'll show you your apartment," Hyoudou said. They all got out of the car and headed to the apartment that had the number 15 engraved on its door. "This is it," Irina would say. "That's right," Milim would say, taking out a key and opening the door for everyone to enter. Issei and his girls went inside and took a look around the place. "It's not that big," Irina would say. "Sorry for the limited space, but don't worry, the apartment has everything you need to live comfortably," Milim would say. Irina and Zenobia toured the place and saw that the apartment had a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a small living room. Meanwhile, Issei had stayed with Milim. "Here you go, kid," Milim said, handing the apartment keys to Issei, who took them. Milim also handed Issei a small briefcase, which he took somewhat strangely. "What is this?" Issei asked curiously. "You probably don't have any money, so I'll give you some cash. There's 500,000 yen in that briefcase. That should be enough to support you for now. Consider it in advance," Milim would say. "The preview," Issei would say. "There are some things I haven't explained to you yet, but we'll leave that for later. Now I have to go, see you later," Milim would say. The aforementioned man would leave the apartment where Diablo was waiting for him, leaning against a wall. At that moment, Irina and Zenobia would arrive, having already finished exploring the apartment. "Before I leave, I want to ask you something. Does anyone here have a driver's license?" I'd ask Milim. Irina and Issei looked at each other, since neither of them had a license. "Yes, I did have it, but due to certain circumstances I think I lost it," I would say Zenobia. "Well, you're in luck, girl. I found this in the clothes you were wearing before," Milim said, taking Zenobia's license out of his pocket and throwing it to her. The blue-haired woman would grab the license and see that it was indeed hers. "I appreciate it, but I don't think it will be of much use since we don't have a car," Zenobia would say. "There'll be a little surprise in the parking lot, goodbye," Milim would say, closing the apartment door and leaving with Diablo. "Okay, what do you want to do?" Issei would say. "I think we should go buy some food, but the problem is we don't have any money," Irina said. "Don't worry about that guy gave me some money, so we won't have to worry about it," Issei said, showing Zenobia and Irina the briefcase containing 500,000 yen. "That guy has been very kind to us, but I don't trust him at all," Zenobia would say. "Me neither, but for the moment we must accept their help," Issei said. "Issei-kun is right, we shouldn't forget that we're still alive thanks to that guy," Irina said. "Anyway, we just shouldn't trust that guy too much," Zenobia would say. Okay, how about we order some food?" Issei said. "Of course, I'm very hungry," Irina would say. Issei ordered a pizza, which arrived in 20 minutes. The three of them ate while chatting, and after they finished eating they went to their room to rest, as it was already 11 p.m. Issei took off his clothes, remaining only in his boxers, while the girls undressed completely. The three of them lay down, and the girls rested their heads on their beloved's chest. "You know, Issei-kun, I'm not very sleepy," Irina said with a seductive smile. "Me neither," I'd say Zenobia. This made the brunette just smile, knowing what his girls wanted to do. The two women began kissing Issei while slipping their hands inside his boxers. He slowly became aroused and started squeezing Zenobia's breasts. The three of them had sex for 6 hours straight, during which Issei came a total of 12 times, 6 times with each woman. Now all three were asleep, having become completely exhausted. Issei's mental space, the brown-haired boy was in that dark place, but that figure was nowhere to be seen. "Hey, you're here," Issei would say. "Were you looking for me, kid?" A deep voice said from behind Issei. Issei turned around, but what he saw shocked him greatly, for in front of him stood a gigantic wolf with grey and white fur. "Who the hell are you?" Issei said seriously. "Come on, kid, don't tell me you've already forgotten my voice," the wolf would say. "It's you, sorry, you sound a little different," Issei would say. "Don't worry, kid, I see you don't waste any time with your females. I'm sure you'll get them pregnant soon, unless they already are," the wolf would say. "Wait, did you see everything that happened?" Issei said, blushing with embarrassment. "Not exactly, while I was sleeping I could hear the noises those two females were making," the wolf would say. Issei only blushed more upon hearing the wolf's words, who just looked at the brunette with an amused expression. "Alright kid, sit down, there's something I have to tell you," the wolf said in a serious voice, his expression also becoming serious. Issei would simply do as the wolf asked and sit down. "First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Hyoudou, and I was the leader of the wolf clan," said the one now known as Hyoudou. "Wolf clan, I've never heard of it," Issei would say. "The clan disappeared a long time ago, in the time of the Great Faction War," one would say yoke. "And what happened to them?" Issei would say. "Our clan was one of the strongest in existence, even dragons feared us, for our power was immense. Because of this, the factions considered our clan a future threat, so they decided to exterminate us. Together with the Olympians, they attacked our clan. The battle was brutal and bloody, but those wretches achieved their goal, for in the end, I was the only one left. They faced me, but they couldn't defeat me. They knew that no matter how hard they tried, they would never succeed, so their only option was to seal me away, and in the end, they did," Hyoudou said. "But how is it that they managed to seal you away if you were such a powerful being?" Issei would say. "It is true that I was an extremely powerful being, and that is why the factions decided to release an extremely powerful creature that would be able to face me and leave me as weakened as possible, so that they could seal me away," Hyoudou said. "The creature you're talking about is the Eclipse," Issei would say. "That little dragon wouldn't even be able to touch me, I mean someone else, her name is Yasviel, a demon who was locked up in a place known as the Prison of the Void," Hyoudou would say. "I never heard anything about her, I always thought the most dangerous being in this world was Eclipse," Issei would say. "You have a lot to learn, young man," I'd say yoke. "Better continue with your story," Issei would say. "Okay, as I told you, the factions decided to release her from her confinement so she could fight me. Their plan was to brainwash her, and once she accomplished their goal, they would lock her up again. But things didn't go as planned because the factions hadn't counted on that demon being so powerful, and instead of helping them, she began to destroy them. It was total chaos. There was no one who could stop her. That's when I stood up to her and confronted her. If I hadn't, this whole world would have gone to hell thanks to the incompetence of the factions and their leaders," Hyoudou would say. "And you managed to defeat her," Issei would say. "I managed to weaken her enough and lock her back in her prison, but that left me very weak, and taking advantage of my weakness, the factions managed to seal me away," Hyoudou would say. "It seems those guys have always been a bunch of ungrateful cowards. If it weren't for you, this world wouldn't be what it is today, and everything would have come to an end thanks to their stupidity," Issei said angrily. "Calm down, kid, that's all in the past. What I want you to know is that you're the one I chose to inherit my power. The legacy of our clan will live on in you from now on," Hyoudou said. Issei was surprised by what Hyoudou had said. The wolf placed one of his claws on Issei's head and instantly a glow enveloped the brown-haired boy. After the glow faded, it was possible to see that Issei had a strange tattoo in the center of his chest. "What happened to me?" Issei would say. "I have transferred all my power to you, Issei, and that tattoo you have on your chest is a seal, which has sealed my power, since you are not yet strong enough to control it, so you will have to train to control my power," Hyoudou said. Issei looked at his hands. He could feel the power flowing within him. "For some reason I feel incredible," Issei said, clenching his hands into fists. "Well kid, go and get some rest, something tells me tomorrow will be a long day," I'd say yoke. "See you later, partner, I think I can call you that from now on, right," Issei would say. "Of course, from now on we're comrades, and maybe in the future we'll be best friends," Hyoudou would say. "If you say so, rest up, buddy," Issei said with a smile. "You're not leaving here, are you? We need to talk too, brat," said a gruff voice, worse than the previous one. Issei will return to face a colossal, terrifying dragon. The dragon told the chestnut-haired man that he was the first dragon god to exist here, just as the wolf was defeated by the factions because they considered him a threat, but he chose the chestnut-haired man as his host since he felt a great connection to everyone, so he explained how he should train to reach the balance breaker. After that, Issei would leave his mindscape. Underworld, Phoenix Mansion. Ravel was sitting in one of the armchairs in the mansion's living room. She was well dressed because today she would meet her fiancé and future husband. Obviously, Ravel didn't want to do any of this, but she couldn't go against her parents' orders, so she couldn't do anything. Ravel had her hand on her belly where her baby was growing. The phoenix still had faith that her beloved Issei would come for her. At that moment, a maid entered the room. "This Ravel, the young Adane is here," the maid would say. "Bring him in," Ravel would say curtly. The maid would nod and leave the room. A few seconds later a young man with blonde hair dressed in an elegant white suit would enter. This boy was Adane Leffert, heir to the Leffert family and a high-class demon. Adane had an arrogant smile on his face because like most heirs of important families he was very arrogant and thought he was a big deal. "So she's Ravel Phoenix, she doesn't look bad at all," the boy thought, analyzing the blonde from head to toe. Adane would approach Ravel and take her hand, giving her a kiss. "It's a pleasure to meet you," Adane would say, feigning humility. Ravel was simply disgusted by the kiss Adane had given her on her hand, and she quickly realized what this boy's true personality was. "Let me make things clear once and for all, I'm not doing this because I want to, I have to marry you because I have no other alternative, but my heart belongs to someone else, and that will never change," Ravel would say. "Come on, at least give me a chance," Adane would say. "I think you didn't hear me right, I will never love you, the only man I love is Issei," Ravel would say. The former Sekiryuutei, seriously, how can someone of your caliber be in love with that disgusting traitor? That filthy trash doesn't deserve you. He's just a bastard who pretended to be a good guy, but in the end, he turned out to be a lying hypocrite who took us all for fools. It must be disgusting for you to have the son of such a nefarious man," Adane would say. Ravel slapped the blonde guy hard across the face, and it was clear she was extremely furious. "Don't you ever speak ill of him again. Issei is far more of a man than you could ever be, and I am proud to carry his child in my womb," Ravel would say. Adane was angered by Ravel's words and the slap she had given him, but the blonde-haired man managed to contain his anger so as not to do something stupid. He put a smile back on his face and gently held Ravel's chin, who tried to slap him again, but Adane stopped her arm. "Remember what I'm about to tell you. You will soon be my wife, and you won't be able to do anything to stop it. And when that happens, I'll make sure that little bastard you're carrying inside you ends up in an orphanage or a garbage dump where you'll never see him again. And then I won't rest until I've got you pregnant," Adane said with that arrogant smile. The blonde-haired man released Ravel's chin and walked slowly towards the exit door. "Sorry for not staying longer, but I have things to do, see you tomorrow at the engagement party, my love," Adane would say, as he left the room. Ravel just clenched his fists helplessly as tears streamed from his eyes. In the sky, Gabriel saw everything that had happened through her crystal ball. She felt sad for Ravel, but was also very angry at how that idiot had spoken about her beloved Issei. At that moment a magic circle of communication appeared in Gabriel's ear. "Come soon, I already have what you asked for," Volley would say, who was communicating through that circle. "I'll go right away," Gabriel said happily, because with this he was one step closer to finding Issei. Gabriel would grab his crystal ball, then make a magic teleportation circle and teleport to the place where Volley was. Forests of the underworld. Gabriel appeared at that place and saw that Volley was leaning against a tree trunk. The seraph hurriedly approached Volley and said, "Show me what you got." Volley would take a small vial out of his jacket which contained a small amount of blood. "This vial contains Hyoudou's blood," Volley would say. "Really? And where did you get it?" Gabriel would say, amazed. "Azazel had it stored in his laboratory. I don't know what he was going to use it for, but the important thing is that with this we can find Hyoudou," Volley said. The white-haired man handed the vial to Gabriel, who poured a little of the blood into the crystal ball. Instantly, the device emitted a small glow and revealed the brunette's location. Gabriel and Volley smiled because they were finally certain that Issei was alive. "By Issei, I knew you were alive," Gabriel said, filled with happiness and with tears in her eyes. "I'm glad you're okay, my friend," Volley would think. "We have to go get him immediately," Gabriel would say, unable to contain her desire to see her beloved Issei. "Don't worry, I'll go get him, you have to go back to heaven," Volley would say. "I want to go too," Gabriel would say. "No, if you leave heaven for too long you'll raise suspicions, and knowing your brother he'll surely detect your presence to find you, and the best thing now is for no one to know that Hyoudou is alive, it's best if they continue to think that he's dead," Volley would say. "You're right, then I'll leave it to you," Gabriel would say. "Now you must return to heaven, I will go for Hyoudou tomorrow," Volley would say. "Tomorrow, and why don't you go right now?" Gabriel said, a little confused. "As I was heading here, I noticed two fallen angels following me. When I confronted them, I asked why they were following me, although I gave them a beating first. The thing is, those angels were following Azazel's orders. Apparently, that old man suspects me, or maybe he realized that the vial with Issei's blood disappeared, Volley would say. Do you think he might be thinking that Issei is alive? Gabriel would say. I don't know, but what is certain is that that crow is very cunning, so we must be very alert, Volley would say. Be very careful, Volley. If you say that Azazel sent 2 fallen angels to follow you, he surely has you in his sights, Gabriel said with concern. Don't worry about me, I'll stay hidden for now, and tomorrow I'll go after Hyoudou, Volley said. By the way, there's something I have to tell you, and that is that the engagement party between Ravel and the heir of the Leffert family will take place tomorrow at the Phoenix Mansion, Gabriel would say. That complicates things a bit, and knowing Hyoudou, he probably won't mind crashing that engagement party, Volley said. If he wants to do that, I'll support him, Gabriel said with determination. If there's no other way, I'll help too, Volley said with a slight smile. Well, I have to return to heaven, but before I do, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, Issei, Gabriel said with a smile. That idiot has become like a brother to me, whenever I can help him I will do it without hesitation, Volley would say. After that, the two of them would leave the place. Once in heaven, Gabriel would lie down on his bed with a broad smile on his face. The seraph would say the following words to herself. Wait a little longer, Ravel-chan, soon your suffering will end, and we can be with the man we love. Chapter 5. Hyoudou Mansion, 12 p.m. A certain black to brown-haired man emerged from the mansion, wearing a black trench coat. Going out at this hour is a nuisance, Kira said, somewhat annoyed. Inside the boy, a certain dragon was wondering where Kira planned to go at this hour of the night. Aiko saw the boy take a small vial containing a strange liquid from his trench coat pockets. But what could that be? Aiko thought, intrigued. Aiko saw Kira drink all the liquid from the vial, and instantly the crimson dragon began to feel her entire body heavy and started to stagger. But what's happening to me? Aiko said, confused. The dragon simply collapsed to the ground, falling unconscious. Outside, after drinking the strange liquid, Kira tried to manifest her boosted gear, but she couldn't. That liquid worked. Now that stupid dragon must be unconscious, Kira said, a malicious smile spreading across his face. The black-brown-haired boy walked slowly away, still smiling. Some time later, Kuoh City Park. Kira was leaning against one of the park's lampposts. That bitch is taking too long. Does she think she can make me wait? Kira thought. Just then, a magic circle appeared and a black-haired girl emerged from it. It was Dahlia. Finally, you're here. You should be more punctual, Kira said, somewhat annoyed. Stop complaining. I summoned you here because my lord has a message for you, Dahlia said. Speak up already. If I don't return soon, that idiot Rias and the others might notice, Kira said, somewhat impatiently. I'll be brief, since I see you're in a hurry. My lord told me that everything is almost ready to begin the attack against the factions. Only a few details remain, so my lord wants you ready when the day arrives, as you will be a fundamental piece, Dahlia said. I see. Don't worry, I'll be prepared. By the way, I hope you haven't forgotten the deal we made, Kira said with a greedy smile. My lord is a man of his word. If everything goes well, the entire underworld will be yours, but in return, you will give us the dragon you carry within you, Dahlia said. Okay, it's a pleasure to collaborate with you, Kira said. Well, I have to go. If there's any new information, I'll let you know, Dahlia said, leaving in a magic circle. Kira also left the park, returning to the mansion. At the mansion, Rias had woken up to get a glass of water, but she was surprised not to see Kira in bed. The Redeed went downstairs to see if her beloved was there. Where could Kira-kun have gone? Rias wondered. Just then, the Redeed saw Kira enter through the door, his hands in the pockets of his trench coat. Oh, Rias, what are you doing up? Kira said. I saw you weren't with us in bed, so I came to see if you were here, Rias said with a sweet smile. I went for a walk, sorry if I worried you, Kira said, approaching Rias and giving her a small kiss on the lips. Don't worry, it's just not very common for you to go out at this hour, Rias said. I couldn't sleep, since I'm very excited because our wedding will be soon, Kira said, pretending to be happy. Me and the others are too, we'll soon be married and start a family, Rias said happily while caressing her belly, where her baby was forming. For now it's best if we go back to bed, you and the others said that tomorrow you're going to try on your wedding dresses, Kira said. That's right, you go ahead, I'll get a glass of water, Rias said. Okay, Kira said, going upstairs towards her room. You're really naive, Rias Gremory. I can't wait to see your face when you learn the whole truth, Kira thought to herself. Rias was about to go to the kitchen, but she stopped when she saw a dusty photo on a small table in the living room. Rias approached the table and picked up the photo. She cleaned it, and when she saw who was in it, her face was filled with hatred and repulsion. In the photo were Issei, herself, and the others. The Redeed went to the kitchen and tore the photo to pieces, then threw the pieces in the trash. I thought I'd gotten rid of everything related to that garbage, Rias said with great resentment. She hated Issei with all her soul for supposedly playing with her heart and feelings. After that, Rias walked back to her room, but along the way, the Redeed felt a slight pain in her heart, as if something was telling her she had made the worst mistake of her life. Did I do the right thing? Rias thought, quickly shaking her head and pushing those thoughts aside. The Redeed continued on her way back to her room where Kira and the others were. But Issei, the next day. The brown-haired boy and the girls were in the dining room of their apartment, having a quiet breakfast. At that moment, a cell phone on the table began to vibrate. It was Milim, who had told them to go to a secluded place. When they arrived, she was there with Diablo. "Well, we're here. What do you need us for?" the brown-haired boy asked, somewhat intrigued. "The reason I brought you here is so your girls and you can train and reach a very high level, and thus awaken the hidden power within them." "Well, I awakened mine yesterday. It started a little in my mind while I was sleeping. I reached a balance breaker, but I want to push my limits even further," said Issei, since it was true that he trained in his mind while he was sleeping. "That makes me happy. Then only the two of them are left. They must train their wolf form, as well as awaken those dragons that are inside them." At first they knew it was going to be painful, but then they thought about it, so accepting that the girls would be using it all day had allowed them to overcome their wolf form to a certain limit that surpassed the faction leaders. They also awakened the dragons that were inside them. Imagine the training they had to overcome their limits and awaken their dragons. This is Arena's dragon. It was called Forcus, dragon god of the second world, apart from the black dragon. This is Zenovia's. Sekros, dragon god of the void. The three returned to the entrance and got into the car. Zenovia started the car and they left, returning to their apartment. Some time later. Issei, Zenovia and Arena left the car in the parking lot and headed to their apartment. Upon arriving, they saw a certain white-haired boy, very familiar to them, leaning against the door. Issei instantly put on a serious face, while the two girls exuded a strong murderous instinct directed at Vali, making him a little nervous, though he didn't show it. "Is that you, Hyoudou?" Vali said, surprised to see the brunette's new appearance. "Yes, it's me. What the hell are you doing here? Did those sons of bitches send you to finish the job?" Issei said. "Calm down, Hyoudou, I'm on your side," Vali said, alert in case anyone attacked him. "Do you think you can fool us? This is surely a plan by those scoundrels," Zenovia said. "I'm not lying. I know you're innocent, Hyoudou. That's why I came to find you, because there's something you need to know," Vali said. "I listen, but if this is some kind of trick, I assure you that you will die a very painful death," Issei said in a threatening voice. "I already told you I'm on your side, so listen to me. There's something very important I have to tell you, and it's about Ravel Phoenix," Vali said seriously. The brunette's heart fluttered at the sound of that name. "Ravel Phoenix is expecting your child," Vali said. Those words shocked Issei, and not only him. Arena and Zenovia were equally stunned upon hearing such news. "What are you saying?" Issei asked, grabbing Vali by the neck. "It's the truth. Ravel Phoenix is pregnant with your child, but the worrying thing is that both of you are in grave danger of dying, since Ravel's health has been deteriorating," Vali said. Issei remembered what Hugo had explained to him about the mark. The brunette released Vali's grip on the neck and punched the building's wall in great frustration, causing it to crack slightly from the force of Issei's blow. "I'm an idiot. How could I leave her alone?" Issei said. "There's more. Ravel's parents forced her to marry a guy named Adane Lefford, and I also know that when Ravel's baby is born, they'll give it up for adoption. Although, I've thought there's a possibility that the baby could be killed," Vali said. At that moment, a small tremor was felt throughout the area, frightening several people. "If those bastards dare to touch my child or Ravel, I'll kill them," Issei said with great fury as he gave off a dark blue aura. "Control yourself, my love. You won't achieve anything like that," Zenovia said, surprised by the power the brunette had unleashed. "I'm not going to stand idly by. I'm going to the underworld for Ravel and my son," Issei said. "I knew you'd say that, and that's why I'm going to take you to the underworld," Vali said. "Are you serious?" Issei asked. "Yes, after all, we're friends," Vali said with a smile. "Thank you, Vali," Issei said. "We're going too," Irina said firmly. "Ravel is our friend, and we're not going to abandon her," Zenovia said determinedly. "The engagement party is tonight at the Phoenix Mansion, so we'll have to make a plan," Vali said. "Let's go inside. We'll talk about this more calmly there," Irina said. The four of them entered the apartment, but Issei already knew exactly what he had to do. Kuoh City. A very beautiful woman could be seen walking along a path while pulling a carry-on suitcase. This woman had long brown hair, wore a green sweater, a black skirt and long stockings, and wore glasses. That woman would say the following words to herself as she walked slowly along the path. For many years I thought you were dead, but now I know you're alive, my little Issei. This time I will keep the promise I made to my sister. I will protect you, and anyone who tries to hurt you will pay it dearly. End of chapter. Chapter 6. Academia Kuoh, 3 p.m. Walking through the large courtyard of the establishment was that brown-haired woman with glasses, who as she walked, attracted the attention of the different students, especially the men, who looked at the brown-haired woman with blushing and perverted looks, but the woman paid no attention to the looks they gave her, and just continued on her way. A few minutes later. The brown-haired girl had entered the academy's main building, and was currently standing in front of a door on which the word Vice-Rector was engraved. The woman knocked on the door to see if the person she wanted to talk to was inside. "Come in," a male voice would say from the other side. The woman entered the office and encountered a blonde-haired man, who was none other than Azazel. The aforementioned man was sitting at a desk and had a slight smile on his face. "Good afternoon, you must be Vice-Rector Azazel," the woman would say. "That's right, tell me how I can help you, miss," Azazel would say politely. "I've come to find information about a former student," the woman would say. "I'm sorry, but we can't give out information about our students to just anyone, you know, it's academy policy," Azazel would say. "I know that, but I ask you to make an exception, it's very important," the woman said. Okay, but only this once," Azazel would say. "Thank you," the woman said, putting a smile on her face. "Please take a seat, miss," Azazel would say. The brown-haired girl sat in a chair that was in front of the blonde-haired boy's desk. "Well, before I give you the information I would like to know your name," Azazel would say. "No problem, my name is Chisato Hasegawa," said the woman now known as Chisato. "Very well, Miss Chisato, tell me which student you are looking for," Azazel said calmly. "I want information about Issei Hyoudou," Chisato would say. Upon hearing that name, Azazel briefly gave a look of annoyance, which was noticed by Chisato, but he quickly returned to his relaxed demeanor. "I'm sorry, miss, but no one with that name has studied at this academy," Azazel would say. Chisato knew immediately that Azazel was lying, but decided to play along. "Oh, that's strange, I thought he had studied here," I'd say. "Well, it seems they gave him the wrong information," Azazel would say. "What a shame, maybe I didn't hear the information they gave me correctly, I tend to be very absent-minded sometimes," I'd say. "Don't worry, these things often happen," Azazel would say. "Well, I'll be going now." "I'm sorry to have taken up your time," Chisato said, getting up from his chair. "There's nothing to apologize for, anyone can make a mistake," Azazel would say. "That's right, see you later," Chisato would say, as she left the office. Once outside, Chisato said a few things to himself. "Does that crow think I'm stupid? I know perfectly well that Issei studied here. I don't know what he's hiding, but I'd better keep an eye on him if I want to know the truth." Chisato would close one of her palms, and as she did so a small glow would occur inside, and when Chisato opened her hand, in the center of her palm was a tiny flying insect. "Watch the crow," he would say in the form of a Chisato command. The insect would begin to fly after hearing the order, and it would enter Azazel's office through a small opening in the door. After that, Chisato would leave the place. Hours later, Chisato's department. The brunette had just taken a shower and was now getting out of the shower. "That was relaxing," Chisato would say, grabbing a towel and starting to dry her body. After that, Chisato wrapped the towel around herself and left the bathroom, then sat on the bed and began drying her hair with a hairdryer. Chisato hummed a melody peacefully as she dried her hair, but then the brown-haired girl saw the small insect she had sent hours earlier to watch Azazel enter through the window. Chisato would turn off the dryer and leave it on the bed, then extend her index finger where the insect would land. "Show me," Chisato would say. That insect would dissolve into small particles of light, which instantly entered Chisato's mind, and in that way the brown-haired girl was able to see what had happened in Azazel's office after she left. In Chisato's mind, everything the insect had seen and heard was being replayed as a memory. Flashback. After Chisato left the office, Azazel would get up from his desk and walk to a shelf where there was a bottle of liquor and a glass. Azazel would pour some liquor into the glass and drink it quickly. "There's nothing like a good glass of liquor in the afternoon," Azazel would say contentedly. After that, the blonde-haired man approached his office window and crossed his arms, observing the outside with a serious expression on his face. "I didn't think I'd hear that filthy traitor's name again. I wonder who that woman was and how she knows him. She might be a survivor of the Chaos Brigade, though I didn't sense any magical power in her when she was here. Perhaps she's just an old acquaintance of that bastard. Yes, that must be it," Azazel would say. After those words, the blonde-haired man returned to his desk and continued reviewing some documents, but what he didn't realize was that the insect had heard everything. Then flashback. Chisato was confused by what she had heard. She didn't understand why the crow called Issei a traitor, because as far as she understood, the brown-haired boy had defeated the Chaos Brigade in Trahexa, becoming the hero of the supernatural world. That was the last she knew about Issei, because afterward she couldn't get any more information. Clearly, the brown-haired girl needed answers, and she knew exactly where to get them. I think I have no other choice but to go to the underworld. I don't like the idea, but if I want to know what's going on, I have to do it, Chisato would say seriously. Chisato would get dressed quickly and then create a magic circle by teleporting herself. Meanwhile, Phoenix Castle, half an hour before the engagement party. In one of the castle rooms, Ravel could be seen being helped by maids to get ready for the party that would start in a few minutes. "You look beautiful, Ravel-sama," one of the maids would say with a smile. Ravel did not respond and just stared at herself in the mirror with an expressionless look. The blonde woman wore a beautiful yellow dress and had a kind of crown on her head. At that moment the bedroom door opened and a certain blonde-haired man entered the room, and that made Ravel give a look of disgust and contempt. "Oh, you look beautiful, my dear Ravel," Adane said, who was wearing an elegant suit and had an arrogant smile on his face. "Adane-sama cannot be here, Ravel-sama is not ready yet," another of the maids would say. "Calm down, I just came to greet my future wife," Adane would say. The blonde-haired man approached Ravel and kissed her hand, which she viewed with disgust. "See you at the party, my beloved," Adane said, and then left the room, still wearing that arrogant smile. Ravel was furious, but she knew she couldn't do anything, so all she could do was continue getting ready for the party. While this was happening, in a forest near the Phoenix Mansion, there was a certain seraph who was waiting for Vali to return with Issei. At that moment a magic circle was created in the place. Gabriel thought it was Vali, but he was a little disappointed to see that it was only the white-haired group. "I see Vali hasn't returned yet," Arthur said seriously. "I hope nothing happened to that idiot," said Biku, who had his staff resting on his shoulder. "I just hope he managed to find Issei-kun," Lefei said hopefully. "We must trust Vali, I know he will be here soon," Gabriel said, very sure of her words. "Hurry up, Vali," the seraph would think. A few seconds passed when suddenly everyone saw a magic circle appear about 2 meters away, and in that circle you could see 4 silhouettes. Everyone watched expectantly, and when the circle's glow disappeared, those present saw that it was Vali, who was accompanied by 3 people. Gabriel and the others quickly approached where Vali and the 3 people accompanying him were. "I didn't think we'd ever set foot in the underworld again," Irina would say. "Remember, we're not here for fun," Zenobia would say. "Irina, Zenobia, I'm so glad you're well," Gabriel would say happily. "Hi Gabriel, it's great to see you too," Irina said with a smile. "Hey, where's Hyoudou, and who's that over there?" Biku said, referring to the brown-haired boy. "Have you already forgotten about me?" Issei said, putting a smile on his face. Biku and Arthur were surprised to hear that voice, while Gabriel and Lefei's eyes began to water. "It's you, Issei," Gabriel said, starting to shed tears. "Issei, you really are Issei," Lefei would say with several tears falling down her face. Issei simply smiled warmly at them both, and with that, any doubt vanished. The seraph and the little witch rushed to embrace the chestnut-haired boy with overjoyed tears. The others just smiled at the scene. Arthur was happy to see his beloved sister's smile return, because since Issei was declared dead, Lefei's happiness had faded. "Finally you're smiling again, little sister," Arthur thought to himself. "I wouldn't want to ruin the moment, but we have work to do, remember?" Biku would say. "That's right, we have to go get Ravel-chan," Lefei said, separating from Issei and drying her tears, but now it was clear that the blonde girl had a radiant smile on her face. Gabriel also separated from Issei and dried her tears, and although she really wanted to confess her feelings to Issei, she knew that Ravel was the priority now. She would have time later to be with her beloved brunette and confess what she felt for him. "Well, we have to go," Issei said seriously. "Don't be impatient, Hyoudou, think with your head," Vali would say. "What do you mean?" Issei would say. "Listen, if the party guests see you, the news that you're alive will spread quickly throughout the underworld, and if that happens, the leaders will start hunting you down," Vali said. "Vali is right, we can't let ourselves be seen, at least not for now," Zenobia would say. "So what do you suggest?" Irina would say. "We have no choice but to wait for the party to end, and while we wait we can make a plan of attack," Vali would say. Issei simply nodded at what the white-haired man said. "Wait a little longer, Ravel, we'll be together again soon," Issei thought to himself. Back at the mansion, in a large hall all the guests were gathered, who belonged to noble families of the underworld. Also there were Ravel's parents Lady and Lord Phoenix, and obviously her brother Razor, who was leaning against a wall of the place and had a serious look on his face, because he did not agree with what his parents were doing to his sister. From a magic circle appeared Ravel and Adane, holding hands, and that was something Ravel didn't like at all. Everyone present applauded the couple, and after a short speech by a Dane, the party began. The celebration went smoothly, all the guests enjoyed the party, while on Ravel's side, things were different as she felt very uncomfortable with all of this and just wanted it to end as soon as possible. 2 hours later. The party had finally come to an end and all the guests had already left the castle, and in that hall only a Dane, Ravel and the latter's parents remained, who approached the couple with a smile. "The Dane Kun, how about you and Ravel join us in the living room for some tea and a chat?" Lady Phoenix said kindly. "Delighted, mother-in-law," he would say in a courteous tone. "What a nuisance, I just wanted to go and rest," Ravel would think. "Is something wrong, daughter?" Lord Phoenix said, noticing the annoyed expression on his daughter's face. "It's nothing, father," Ravel would reply calmly, for she knew it was not advisable to go against her parents. "Then let's go," Lady Phoenix would say. So the 4 of them would go to the castle's hall. Meanwhile, at the main entrance of the castle, 2 guards were standing watch and everything seemed calm, but then the guards were surrounded by a kind of pink mist and instantly they became unconscious. "Wow, that was very easy," said LaFay, descending into the entrance on her broomstick. "I think it's clear, you can undo the spell now, Gabriel," Bolly's voice would say. Everyone except LaFay was using an invisibility spell cast by Gabriel to hide. Seeing that there was no longer any danger, the Seraph dispelled the spell and they all reappeared in front of the entrance. "We're lucky those guards were rookies. A mid-level demon could have easily detected us," Arthur would say. "Luck is on our side," Issei would say. They were all about to continue, but stopped when they saw 2 soldiers arrive who were replacing their comrades as it was time for the shift change. "Stop right there, you have no permission to enter," one of the soldiers would say in a hostile manner. "What were you saying about luck, Hyoudou?" Volley would say. "That's the last straw," Issei would say. The 2 soldiers noticed that behind the group were their 2 companions lying unconscious on the ground and this caused them both to become defensive. "Don't move," the soldier said, pointing a magic circle at the group. The other soldier would create a magic circle of communication in his ear. "We have intruders at the front door, I repeat, we have intruders," the soldier would say. Both soldiers would quickly be attacked by Issei and Volley and the 2 soldiers would be knocked unconscious by a blow from the aforementioned. "Damn, this got complicated," Volley said, a little flustered. "There's no time to lose, we must find Ravel," Zenobia would say. "Now everyone knows we're here, there will surely be many guards waiting inside," Irina would say. "I suppose it's best if we split up. My group and I will stay outside to fight the soldiers while you find Ravel," Volley said, looking at Issei. "Will they be alright?" the chestnut-haired man asked, sounding somewhat worried. "Who do you think you're talking to?" "I am the White Emperor Dragon. Mere rats won't even be able to touch me," Volley said, smiling confidently. Issei just gave a lopsided smile upon seeing the determination of his friend rival, but then several magic circles appeared outside the castle. "They're already here, don't waste any time and leave," Bhikkhu said, preparing to attack. Issei obeyed and, along with Zenobia, Irina and Gabriel, entered the castle, while Volley took the lead of his group and said the following. "They're ready," the white-haired man would say. "This will be a piece of cake," Bhikkhu would say, smiling. "Let's give them a beating, little brother," LaFay would say enthusiastically. "Whatever you say, LaFay," Arthur would say. Several soldiers emerged from the magic circles and upon seeing Volley and his group, they were confused, wondering what on earth the White Emperor and his companions were doing there. The soldiers couldn't ask anything because they would be attacked by the white-haired man and his group and in that way an intense battle began. Issei and the girls were running through the large halls of the castle. "I'm sure all the soldiers went to the main gate, we have to take advantage of that," Gabriel would say. "Where do you think Ravel is?" "I'd say Zenobia." "I can feel her, we're getting closer to her," Issei would say. The 4 continued running, but when they turned into one of the hallways they ran into Razor Phoenix himself, who was on his way to his room, but stopped when he saw Issei and the girls. Razor was confused when he saw the Seraph Gabriel, but his eyes widened in surprise when he looked at Irina and Zenobia. "Damn, we had to run into the walking KFC," Zenobia would think. "That can't be, you 2 were supposed to be dead, just like that bastard Hyoudou," Razor said in surprise. "Since you called me fried chicken," Issei would say, annoyed. "That voice, it's impossible," Razor said, shocked, as he realized that the boy in front of him was none other than Issei. "I don't have time for this, get out of the way, fried chicken, or I'll have to send you flying," Issei said in a serious tone. Razor snapped out of his emotional shock and put on a face of fury and hatred directed at the brunette. "Damn you, how dare you show your face after everything you did? You fooled us all, and thanks to you my sister has to marry a guy she doesn't love," Razor said, extremely angry. "I don't think it'll do any good to tell you I'm innocent, so I'd better hurry up and send you to sleep," Issei said, preparing to attack. "You wretch," Razor would say, launching an attack, but he couldn't complete his attack because at that moment his body was paralyzed with a spell, preventing any kind of movement. "What the hell, why can't I move?" Razor said, confused. Razor saw that Gabriel had her hand outstretched, a sign that it was she who was doing this. "I'll take care of him, you all continue," Gabriel said with a serious expression. "Are you sure?" Issei said, a little worried. "I'll be fine, you guys go for Ravelsan," Gabriel would say. "Be careful," Issei said, before running off with Irina and Zenobia. "I don't understand, why are you helping them after everything that bastard did?" Razor said hatefully. "Tell me something, Razor-san, do you really believe that Issei betrayed us? Do you really believe it?" Gabriel would say. Razor did not respond, for deep down he still had doubts. He still did not believe that the chestnut-haired man who had faced him in the past and who had been willing to give his life to protect his loved ones was capable of such an act. Gabriel would look Razor in the eyes and say. "I can tell you have doubts, I don't blame you. When I saw the evidence, I also doubted for a second, but I remembered the kind of person Issei is, and I know he would never turn his back on us. Issei was willing to do anything to protect this world. No matter how strong his enemy was, he never gave up. No matter how many times he fell, he always got back up. That's the kind of man Issei is." "I'd like to believe your words, but I can't ignore reality," Razor would say. "We'll soon prove Issei's innocence, and you'll see that everything I said is true, but for now," Gabriel said, pausing before moving at great speed and striking Razor on the back of the neck. The phoenix fell to the ground unconscious after that blow while being watched by Gabriel. "For now, just sleep," the seraph said, wasting no more time and going to catch up with Issei and the girls. Meanwhile, in the castle hall. Badane and Ravel's parents chatted happily over a cup of tea, and the blonde girl had no choice but to wait for it to end so she could go and rest. The atmosphere was calm, but all that ended when a soldier hurriedly entered the room. "I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a problem," the soldier said seriously. "What's going on?" Lord Phoenix asked, rising from his seat with a serious expression. "They are attacking the castle," the soldier would say. "What are you saying?" Lady Phoenix exclaimed, jumping up from her seat in excitement. Ravel and Adam also stood up upon hearing this information. "I was informed that the intruders are at the main gate. Most of the guards have already gone there," the soldier would say. "Don't let them escape, capture them all, and if they resist you have permission to eliminate them," Lord Phoenix would say. "As you wish, my lord," the soldier said, giving a small bow. The soldier was about to leave the room to carry out his orders, but at that moment the door was knocked down with a strong blow, and the impact sent the soldier flying against a wall, leaving him unconscious, while at the entrance, the silhouette of a person could be seen. "I think I went a little too far," Issei said, entering the room. The chestnut tree was alone because they had encountered more soldiers along the way, and Zenobia and Irina stayed behind to face them. Everyone present wondered who the boy in front of them was, but Ravel felt his heart begin to beat when he looked at that boy. "You are one of the intruders, who are you, and what are your intentions, you wretch?" Lady Phoenix said, a little furious. Issei stepped forward and said. "I've come for my wife and my son." "Who are you?" "The only one who created that monstrosity was Lord Phoenix," began, but when he remembered who it was, he was shocked. "You are?" "I am Issei, the Black Dragon Emperor of the Red Eclipse and candidate for Supreme Evil Dragon God." Skills. 1 Sonic Roar. This attack is like a roar, but it's more of a shockwave like lightning that can destroy a large part of a territory or a city. 2 Power to control storms. Even without the balance breaker he can create very strong storms with devastating lightning much stronger than Thor's. 3. Its balance breaker is in 9 phases. 1 The first one surpasses all the leaders. 2 The second one surpasses gods like Egyptian and Olympian ones. 3 The third one surpasses celestial dragons, kings, among others. 5 Surpasses them all at once. 6 His power is on par with a dragon god. 7 He is a dragon god. 8 It surpasses all the dragon gods and is capable of destroying almost the entire world. 9 The last one far surpasses God and is capable of destroying the entire planet, even Trixa. 4. Blue Fire is another ability that comes with having the power of the Wolf Clan leader. 5. Ice Claws. This creature creates giant ice stakes when it makes a movement with its claws. 6. It can cause a red eclipse in the sky. 7. Dark Eclipse. Red. It's like Dragon Shoot but with the eclipse. 8. Can control all survivors of the Wolf Clan. 9. The power to revive the dead with his dragon power. Allies. The faction of heroes, like others. Fafnir. Tannin. Tiamat. Jadis. Diablo. Statue. The vampire faction. Milikas. Rolling. Arthur. Aku. Office. Lilith. Great Red. Shiva. Indra. Anubis. Rainer. Medium. Which one? Halwerner. White. Chapter 7. This revelation caused a silence in the mansion. Ravel, upon hearing the love and the father of her child standing before her, could not contain the tears that began to fall from her beautiful eyes one by one. "So you're the father of that damned offspring, huh?" Adane said with an arrogant smile. "Don't worry, I'll give this studio a new one when I kill that monster it carries around." Upon hearing that he would try to kill her son, Ravel stepped back, but Adane grabbed her arm. "Inform Sirzechs that the traitor is alive, Lord Phoenix," quickly, Adane said, and Lord Phoenix nodded, but something happened. The magic circles weren't working. "What's wrong?" "If you're wondering what's going on, it's always because I just stopped that damn Siskin who calls himself the Demon King when he's just a replacement." "Now I understand Rizevim," Issei said, looking out the window at the territory. "I don't care who you are, I'll kill that bastard, and then I'll make this tramp moan like a beast in heat," Adane said, already enraged. So when he created a knife and was about to plunge it into her belly, Ravel's family was terrified. She might be immortal, but perhaps he would kill her and the baby. But then they saw how the knife was destroyed at the mere touch of her. It turns out that the mark she has activated and is like a shield or protective device that activates when she is in danger. "Did you seriously think you could kill my son and my wife, you idiot?" Issei said, looking at him with a deathly expression. On the other side of the mansion, Bali and the others continued fighting the soldiers. "There are a lot of them from this disgusting clan," said Bhikkhu, who slammed his staff hard on the ground, sending a few flying. "I know, but we have to give Issei-sama time," Lefei said, casting fire and electricity spells. "Well, it's normal, I'd say Vali used his balance breaker to drain the energy from his opponents. But they see magic circles appearing from the clan where Adane comes from." "Well, we have to face whoever we can," said Arthur, ready to fight again, but then something happened. Where the soldiers stood, something exploded. "Those stupid people from that clan are really annoying," said a female voice. Everyone turns around and sees Razor's entire entourage above, with their demon wings spread. "Girls, what are you doing here?" Irina would ask. "You see, we didn't believe in Issei-sama's supposed betrayal, because if he killed every enemy, he would be incapable of betraying us, since he is a good person with a big heart," Yubalana said. "Oh, we'll stop them, rescue Ravel-sama," Mihi the Ivory said, using a sonic spell she had learned. She fired it, deafening the soldiers, but she increased the intensity, causing their bones to shatter and their heads to explode, killing them. They go inside where a fight was taking place between Issei and Adane. 5 minutes before. "I don't care who you are or what power you have, you won't be able to defeat me," Adane would say in his arrogant tone. "You know, I really hate arrogant people, so you leave me no choice but to end your miserable life for trying to kill my son," Ravel Issei said, very annoyed, his eyes turning red. "Yeah, sure." Adane was sent crashing into the wall by a punch to the stomach from Issei. "You're so arrogant and you're not that resilient to a simple blow from a human." Adane emerges from the rubble, furious, and unleashes an aura that surpasses Razor's. He draws his lasso and charges at full speed to strike Issei in the face, who doesn't budge an inch. "You call that hitting?" Issei grabs his fist and punches him in the stomach, then delivers a powerful knee strike that made him spit out a lot of blood. Thus began a fight between the two of them. Ravel's parents tried to activate a communication circle, but it didn't work. "We must do something, that traitor will take Ravel," said Lady Phoenix, somewhat worried about her daughter being taken away. "They won't do anything because you betrothed your daughter to someone she doesn't love and you were planning to kill the son of the Dark Dragon," Gabriel said from behind them, with spears of light at both their necks. "Ravel-sama, come, you must move aside," said Lefei, using her magic to create a shield around everyone. Ravel goes, but because of her pregnancy she couldn't walk fast, so Arthur takes her and brings her closer to the shield. Outside, Issei kept hitting Adane all over, but Adane got tired. "Damn it. Take this crimson fire," Adane shouted, firing a powerful blast of fire that struck Issei, but suddenly the fire was consumed by him from his hands. "Is that all you've got?" Issei asked. "How is it possible that this fire can burn everyone's soul?" Adane asked fearfully. "Ah, that's nothing, but I'll return the favor with this." Sonico roar. Issei roared like an annoying beast, more like a lightning-shaped shockwave that created a large crater through the mansion and blasted outside, visible to everyone. It was a roar, but when it hit a mountain, it exploded with great intensity, creating a super shockwave that continued to spread everywhere until it reached the Gremory clan. All the inhabitants came out when they saw the clouds moving violently. Sirzechs was somewhat worried since he had heard that roar somewhere. "What's happening now?" Sirzechs asked, his wife now by his side. "Returning. Will you surrender now, or do you want me to kill you?" the dark-haired man asked. "I will never stop. I will kill you, and then I will kill that bastard she's bringing so I can get her pregnant again." Dane said, unaware that he had signed his own death warrant. It's fine that you call me a traitor and a bastard, but insulting my wife and son. I won't forgive you. Issei, furious, gathered a lot of draconic energy in his fists and sped towards Dane, who was doing the same. They exchanged punches and kicks, but Dane's attacks didn't even tickle Issei. Issei struck him a powerful blow to his arm, breaking it. Dane screamed in pain, but Issei grabbed him by the head and began running to slam his head against the wall, just like Broly did to Goku. Then he grabs him by the foot and slams him to the ground, then spins around and slams him harder, making Dane scream like never before. After that, he lifts him up and gathers a red sphere, placing it on his chest. A beam shoots out, damaging him severely. Issei kicks him in the back, not giving him time to get up, then delivers a blow that breaks his ribs. After a few minutes, Dane was lying on the ground with a lot of blood coming out of his mouth. Lord and Lady Phoenix wanted to go, but their son's entourage wouldn't allow it, as they disagreed with what they were doing against Ravel. "Are you going to distance yourself from Ravel?" Issei asked. "Never, you damn thing," said Dane. "Don't say I didn't warn you, but it's better to cause some fear out there." Crimson eclipse storm. As he said that, outside the mansion, an electrical storm with red and black lightning was occurring, the clouds gathered, and the wind blew harshly. Issei grabs Dane by the neck and unleashes his enormous dragon claws, launching himself through each floor. Dane suffers the blows with each landing, some stakes piercing his face and leaving him deformed. As he exits the mansion, a beam of light appears beside him, and he vanishes. Dane was terrifying because he had the worst. "I warned you to leave my wife, but you didn't listen, so face the consequences of your actions." He forces him to take out his hands and then roughly rips them off, making him scream like never before. "It's time for you to suffer in the Black Purgatory." Saying that, Issei lets him fall, but he too descends with such speed that he grabs him by the collar of his jacket and forces him through the floors again until he lands on the last one with great force. The dust disappeared, but there was Issei holding Dane by the neck. "Goodbye forever." Issei gathered a lot of dragon and wolf energy into a red and blue sphere. "No, no, no please. No." Dane screamed as Issei placed the sphere on his chest, and little by little he began to turn to ashes until he disappeared forever. The shield where they all stood disappears. When Ravel saw her boyfriend or fiancé, she began to cry tears of joy, then sprouted her wings and flew to him. Upon seeing her, Issei smiled with happiness, extending his arms and gently embracing her because of her pregnancy. You fool, you don't know how worried I was. I was afraid I'd lose our son. I don't want you to leave my side, please." Ravel cried on his chest like never before. "I will never do that, my love, because now we will live together forever," Issei said, merging his people with hers to see her eyes again. The others were happy, but Lord Phoenix was not. "Why did you kill him? He could have changed everything for the clan and for her. That bastard she's carrying around is a disgrace." Lord Phoenix roared furiously. "I saved them countless times, and yet they still believed in false evidence that they didn't even know who created or ordered," Issei said. "That doesn't matter now, give us Ravel," said Lady Phoenix. But then Issei raises his hands and squeezes them so that they both fold due to a strong gravitational pressure. "They can't decide what you do or don't do. If they say a single word that I'm alive, I'll erase their memories of having Ravel as their daughter, or rather, I'll send them to purgatory myself," Issei said in a sepulchral voice. Both of them, terrified, nodded their heads, but Issei wasn't so confident that he put a seal on them. "This seal will activate if you try to tell anyone about me, and if that happens, you will receive a powerful shock throughout your body that will make you wish you were never alive," Issei said. "Let's go, we didn't save Ravel," Volley said. "Wait." Someone said. They turned around and it was a maid with yellow hair. But all the girls from Razor's entourage also appear. "We do too, because you're our hero," they all said at once. "Alright, let's go. Now you belong to the Black Dragon faction," Issei said with a smile that made them all blush. Thus they activate a magic circle and leave to go to the human world where Milim was waiting to talk to them, since someone is looking for them. Chapter 8. After Issei killed Ravel's fiancé, Dane's parents demanded to know their son's whereabouts, but they were killed in the mansion by Issei himself. They had intended to kill their son, but he killed them with his dark shot inside the mansion. Then the Phoenix clan. In what remained of the mansion after the fierce battle, Razor, not seeing any of his pieces, was told by his parents that Issei had placed a seal on them, stipulating that if they said anything about him being alive, the seal would activate, just like Razor. When he found out that he had taken his sister and killed Dane, he was happy that he had killed Dane, but not so much that he had taken her. He also learned that his pieces were gone and even found them, implying that they had left the clan to join the Black Dragon faction. "Mother, is there no way to see one's memories?" Razor asked. "No, son, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that." There's only one person who can do that, and that's your father, Lady Phoenix said, looking at her husband, and the mountain Issei had destroyed with his roar, which not only destroyed that mountain but others as well, leaving large craters. It's true, son, there is a way, and that is to go to the Phoenix clan library. Although I find it hard to believe, I also doubt that Kira Hyoudou because he arrives when Issei is in a coma, and information appears about when the Chaos Brigade was destroyed and the Beast of the Apocalypse is sealed. This doesn't make any common sense, said Lord Phoenix, putting his hand to his chin, looking at his son and wife. The library? I thought the clan didn't have a library, Razor said. Yes, there is one, son, but they're only for spells, so we'd better go. We need to know if what Issei says is true or not, his father said, creating a magic circle and heading to the library. When they arrived at the library, the librarian was surprised, but when they told him to take them to the area where the books were so they could see someone else's memories, he took them to the most hidden part of the library, the restricted area. They searched for 20 minutes. I found it, said Razor, who had a large book in his hands. He placed the book on the table, and they searched for the page until they found it. For this, they needed the help of a clan heir and a lord, so they created a large circle around him where they recited the words. In a snap, they were in Issei's memories, seeing the battles, the beatings, and other events. They decided to go to the date where he spoke with the Chaos Brigade, but to their surprise, he never spoke with them. They looked further, but found nothing. At no point did he betray them, and he even considered telling the truth. But they decided to record everything they saw, so they recorded the day he supposedly spoke with the brigade, the day of the engagement party, which was to be in 4 days. The factions learned that some Olympian gods disagreed with Zeus's actions. For example, Nyx, Hades, Poseidon, Shiva, and Indra did not accept the alliance because Issei was at Shiva's level when he was the Sekiryuutei, but now he was even surpassing him. Great Red and Lilith, along with Office, discovered the truth about Kira. He was working for an organization worse than the Chaos Brigade called the Black Clan. They had over 1 million people with sacred gear and artificial ones, as well as rogue demons, angels, fallen angels, Nordics, and yokai. All in one place being led by someone worse than Rizevam and worse than the original Demon King. They, along with those who didn't believe in Issei's betrayal, searched relentlessly until they found him. They went to see if they could form an alliance with him to unmask Kira once and for all. In the Hyoudou mansion. Izami was in her room, but she was having a mental battle with her different versions of herself. In his mind. Don't you realize he's just deceiving us? A black-haired version of Izami would say. Shut up, Ani-chan, I wouldn't be capable of doing that. He made me feel better than that damn traitor, she said. Everything you love will be gone. Izami Issei was better than him, even better than everyone. He could be the light of every dream we had, to form a family, but now you carry with you the son of a bastard who went far away, said a version of her but with red hair and a red eye. Shut up. I won't allow you to call my son that. My Ani-chan is not a traitor, I know that. She said furiously. Don't believe everything you see, but feel the truth with your heart. And you're not right for me, my friend. Remember this. You'll never get his forgiveness, but maybe he will, but I won't, and the red eclipse will be reborn and everyone will fall before it. Ha 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 ha. The voice unfamiliar to her spoke. The other versions of them left, but not before giving her a warning. Everything you do will have consequences, and when you realize it, it will be too late. She was determined that Kira would never hurt them, but at her party, everything will change as Kira reveals the truth about what she has done and her purpose. But Izami felt a great pain in her heart, as if something was missing or something had been taken away from her. Elsewhere in the human world, one could see an immense fortress that belonged to Milam and the man she recruited. She was sitting at a very large round table with about 15 chairs. There were 7 people sitting there. One of them was Office. The other Lilith. The other Tiamat, Dragon Queen of Karma. The 4th Great Red. The 5th Shiva. The 6th Poseidon. The 7th Kakao, leader of the heroes faction. In front of them appears a magic circle where Issei and everyone else emerge, including Razor's entourage and the maid whose name is Anna and who has the power of ice, fire and accelerated regeneration. I'm glad they're coming back. We already have new allies for the Black Dragon faction, Milam said with a smile. Herr Ed, how have you been? Issei asked, happy to see the person who created his body and whom he considered a father. Rojo gets up from his seat and goes to Issei, who thought he was going to yell at him, but to everyone's surprise, Rojo hugged him. I'm glad you're alright, my son, said Red, making Issei open his eyes. But since his biological parents had said bad things to him about his supposed betrayal, he again felt that longing for a father and began to cry in Red's arms. This scene deeply moved everyone else, as he was so happy to have a real father who appreciated him, unlike his real parents who felt a pain in their chest. Minutes passed and Issei separated from Rojo, now more relaxed and happy. He turned around and saw Office together with Lilith. Both of them went and hugged him very tightly. They had both confessed their feelings to him before the battle against Trixia, and he accepted them. But then Issei hears a scream he recognizes. Issei-sama. She turned around and saw Invalid Leviathan running towards him, and when she was just a few meters away, she jumped and fell on top of him, crying on his chest because she was so worried, since she also didn't believe in the evidence that appeared out of nowhere. Kuoh and Milikas also appear. Milikas hugs him and tells him that she missed him, but with Kuoh it was something different. She does hug him, but she kisses him on the lips, shocking many. But Issei returns the kiss of the girl he also fell in love with. Then appear Laisha Asterit, Uryuka Glaciolabolas, Seekvaira. So they spent a few moments of reunion, but Milim spoke. Okay, sit down now. We need to talk about something urgent, Milim said, sounding a bit tired. Everyone sits down. Well, the reason we're all here is because we've discovered that Kira is working for an organization called the Black Clan, which has many allies, especially humans. They're also creating mutations against humans and demons to make them stronger, and they plan to attack on the day of the engagement party, which is in a few weeks. So we need to be prepared for that, Milim said, looking at everyone, and they all nodded. We have the entire Milim-sama hero faction group, our comrades have already reached the balance breaker, but it's not enough, said Kakao. I know that, Kakao, and that's why I want Issei-kun to train them, since he possesses the Black Dragon god of the Red Eclipse and the power of the Wolf Clan leader. I hope you don't mind training them, Issei, Milim said. No, of course not, it would be a pleasure, since they made me see that humans are truly stronger and can surpass our limits. Besides, we can't allow human beings to die. I no longer care about demons like the Gremory clan, Sitri, or the others, but I can only forgive a few, nothing more, said Issei. Very well, tomorrow morning we will resurrect many for the Black Dragon faction, Milim said excitedly, laughing. You'll see, my dear little brother, what awaits you, because I myself will send you to the depths of the crimson black eclipse and to the oblivion of the universe, said Issei, looking out the window from afar, or rather, at the fact that the sky was red and the clouds were black and there was a resemblance to a red eclipse. Chapter 9. Alright, it's time to go further, Issei said, looking at everyone in a very large field. First, you'll be Cao. Having the true Longinus makes you stronger, but without it, you're just a human. That's why I asked Milim to bring one of her soldiers to train you and help you surpass your limits with your spear, Issei said. Thank you, and it will be a pleasure, said Kakao. Alright, now you, Heracles. You're strong, you possess a sacred-like Longinus, very powerful, and you have incredible strength, but you must also learn to wield extremely powerful magic, and Diablo Ciara will take care of you, said the protagonist, looking at Diablo de Tensei Shatara Slime towards Heracles. It will be a pleasure, Issei-sama, to train one of your friends, Diablo said with a smile. Jean, you're fast, you can create sacred swords like Hyoudo's, but you also need to learn to overcome the limits of your sacred gear in Balance Breaker. Maybe you can create a dragon made of sacred swords, but I know that deep down, that ability can do more than that. Zenobia will help you, just like Arena said. Thank you, Issei-kun, Jean said happily, blushing slightly. The others must learn to be faster, more agile, stronger, and good at using spells for seals. You, Invalid, have created an artifact that can ensure you never fall into eternal sleep. Upon hearing this, Invalid was overjoyed to know that her boyfriend and fiancé had tirelessly sought a way to cure her. Issei takes out a red vial, and she drinks it. As she drinks it, she is surrounded by an aura of peace that she feels not only heals her, but also increases her power by 2 times. Alright, now spread your wings so you can see why you feel stronger, Issei said. Invalid takes out her wings and is shocked to see them, as before there were 10, and now there were 20 demon wings, which impressed her as well as the others. I gave you my blood, as well as an antidote I created to heal you, but also to increase your power for when you want to fight. Even if I try to seal your power, it will be useless, since drinking my blood creates a seal. When the engagement party comes, we will attack and reveal all this truth, but I will also do something else, Issei said. And what is Issei-chan? Milim asked, intrigued. I will only forgive a few if I feel they are truly sorry and want to come back to me to fix their mistake. It should be noted that they were all upset because they gave their virginity to Kira, as did Izami, even though she is her sister. Are you sure, friend? Vali asked. If I'm worth it, I'll only forgive a few, but the rest I'll leave and let them see what it feels like to be abandoned and used like they did to me, Issei said, his words serious. Alright, now that everything is clear, Issei, I ask you to bring Raynor, Middled, Calwarner, Katera Leviathan, Diodora, and Crumb Crouch back from the otherworld, since they never meant to hurt us, Milim said, now serious. But she killed me, she used me, she made me believe I mattered to her, and wait, did you say I was being controlled just like everyone else? Issei said nervously and anxiously. That's right, they were never bad because Rizevim controlled them with a device to do his job and nothing more. Raynor truly loved you, but she was controlled by Gabriel. She fought to break free, but she couldn't, Milim said. Issei was so happy he started crying when he realized his first girlfriend truly loved him and tried to warn him. Alright, I won't waste any time. I'll bring them all back. What should I do, Black? Issei asked his dragon partner. You must create a magic circle and say the words yourself, but your two partners must help because by carrying dragon gods of angelic origin they can help more, said the black dragon god. Alright, Irina and Zenobia, let's go. We have to bring them back so they can help us, Issei said. Hi. Issei makes a large magic circle with strange markings and symbols that they have never seen before. Okay, it's time to begin. I call you to walk the earth again. I give eternal life to you who were controlled and used. I command you to walk beside me and live for me, for my cause. So rise up. The magic circle shone brighter and brighter until the people who had died appeared, and those were Raynor, Middled, Kalwerner, Katera, and Krumkruch. Raynor had 12 white wings, just like her friends. Katera had 18 demon wings. And Krum had 10 dragon wings. They opened their eyes and upon seeing Issei, the girls shed tears and go to hug him. We're so sorry, we never meant to hurt you, please forgive us. Raynor said, crying like a child. Issei just smiled and hugged them like a father hugs a little girl. Krumkruch bowed in respect. I sincerely apologize, as I was under control and, even while fighting in my mind, I caused you a great deal of harm, Krum said. Alright, now we need each other for this coming war against a new enemy, Issei said, since he knew what kind of enemy they would face. Have you heard of Hydra? Everyone falls silent out of fear. If we know what that thing is, it's a creature of immense power. Even Trihexa feared it, as his power wasn't enough against it. God feared it too. No one could face it except for two beings. The leader of the Wolf Clan and the Black Dragon God. Both confronted it and managed to defeat it, but it seems that all this time it has been accumulating power to break free from the seal they created, since they removed 30% of its power, said Red. Good, and that's why they'll train to surpass every limit they have, and the same goes for your father, since your power is equal to Shiva's, but we need more for this battle. Kira is allied with a clan larger than the Chaos Brigade. They have every soldier highly trained for battles like the one coming, so we have to be prepared for everything, Issei said. In the Hyoudou mansion. In Kira's room, he was lying down, and next to him were Rias, Akeno, Kaneko, Roswise, Kuroka and Yusaka, all naked and sweaty. A white liquid was coming from their two holes. Their bellies looked a little large, and that was because their pregnancies were progressing faster and faster. Haha, very soon everyone will fall at my feet, and there's nothing those damned factions can do because they've lost their pillar. Ha 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 ha, Kira laughed like a madman in his mind. Chapter 10 The truth is revealed. In the Black Dragon faction. Everyone was ready. They were just devising a plan. Well, as you all know, Kira is allied with the Black Clan, Issei said, looking at everyone at a round table where all his allies were gathered, plus Diodora's entourage, who had arrived some time ago, and also the one Issei had revived, since he too had been controlled. Yes, we already know that. He has more than 30,000 soldiers ready to attack the underworld, Milim said. We've trained far and now we surpassed the former leaders. I've already surpassed Sirzechs in his demon form, Milika said, since it was true. Now he surpassed his father in his demon form, as well as his mother and grandmother. Yes, we've all surpassed our limits thanks to Issei's training and the others, Kuoh said, since he discovered that the spear had another, superior balance breaker. If that's true, thanks to Darling we were able to achieve much more than those leaders, Irina said, as she felt like hitting Michael for expelling her and Zenobia. Alright, everyone knows my plan, right? One group will stay here northwest of the city where the first group from the Black Church is. The second group will be in the north, the next in the south, and the other in the west. We'll be in the center. The goblin army was in charge of the dragons, since they have their power swords that can kill them. The humanoid dragons will take care of the evil angels, the mutant pigs will take care of the demons, and we'll take care of the rest. But leave my brother to me, since I have a score to settle with him, Issei said, wanting to grind. I do it to take everything that was his, but I was also very grateful to him because if he hadn't betrayed him, he wouldn't have met so many friends and made so many new partners. Well, they don't know it, but he felt something for them. I forgot to mention that he's giving away his characters from Tensei Shitara's slime. Benimaru. If you'll allow me, great Issei, are you sure about that? I mean, you've already reached balance. You were only at 50% of your power yesterday, since your companions are asleep. When they awaken, you'll unleash your full power. Don't worry, I already know that, Benimaru. Even at 50%, I can face him with the Infinity Dragon Goddess and Great Red. Don't worry, Manda, concentrate on the battle, Issei said. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, then what are we waiting for? Let's go kick that bastard's ass, said Hakuro, eager to slice the enemies. Very well. It's time to go. You know the plan. It's time for the ass-kicking match, hahaha, said Milim, very happy and laughing like a maniac. And so, around 500 goblins, 500 humanoid trogo, 500 pigs, and among them dragons, all set off. They were all ready to fight. At the Creamery mansion, everything was already being prepared for the engagement party of all the girls from the Sitri Entourage Occult Club and the Daughters of Zeus. But let's go to Kira the traitor. Elis found a hologram of her commander, Dahlia, talking about the surprise attack on each faction since they had been released. Already in the main hall where all the guests were, they were talking about Kira and how strong she was. Your attention, please. It was Sirzechs, tapping his glass to get their attention. Our hero and true pillar, Kira Hyoudou, wants to say a few words. Everyone applauded as Sirzechs moved away from the area to give space to the chestnut-haired man who was smiling calmly. This gave Vali, Bhikkhu, and the others a bad feeling, but the silver-haired man was inwardly pleased to have sent the message. Dear supernatural beings, I want to thank you all for your efforts in bringing us to this time of peace. Without your constant effort, we wouldn't have reached this point. A hologram of Gregory appeared, but for some reason, members of the Black Clan were attacking. This didn't surprise Kira, who continued to smile calmly, while Vali and Arthur sharpened their gazes. Thanks to your efforts, you have achieved such peace that you have greatly lowered your guard, only to become easy targets. The scene shifted to Asgard, where the same thing was happening. This shocked Odin, Roswus, Gondal, and the other Norse beings, while Bhikkhu simply maintained a serious expression. They managed to give us free rein to destroy them. The scene shifted to heaven, where the same thing was happening. Michael, Dulio, and the angels were shocked by this. They managed to show their weakness to us, the Black Clan. But that revelation, a collapse began among those closest to him, both the leaders and their wives, though to him they were nothing more than his concubines, revealing more foundations of the supernatural world being attacked by the Black Clan. If only they hadn't abused their renowned pillar, whom they turned their backs on like idiots simply for believing in something that arrived suddenly and seemed irrefutable to even the simplest and least analytical eye, showing Issei being toyed with and attacked by each and every one of his friends and family. And I know that many are still hurt by his supposed betrayal or by the realization of his mistakes, but don't worry. The Black Clan members infiltrated at the party began their attack. My loyal subjects will end this suffering. Displaying the most sadistic and deranged smile he could muster. Several guards were being attacked and easily killed as they were caught off guard. The leaders reacted and led the counterattack, but the first to act were Vali, Bhikkhu, Gabriel, Shizu, and those who supported their friend's innocence. I'm in dust. Vali shouted. Several members of the brigade were frozen, while Issei and Bhikkhu covered their backs. Take this. Shizu brutally attacked a large one and was seriously injured. A fallen rogue tried to attack him by surprise, but was swallowed by a water dragon and thrown to his companions, making a great impact. I knew they were stupid, but I didn't think they were this stupid, Vali said, referring to the guards who had been taken by surprise and were the first to fall. He said this as he grabbed a rogue by the neck and slammed him to the ground, then kicked him to his other companions. The leaders were also attacking the soldiers of the Negri clan, while they watched as Kira stood in the middle of it all, enjoying his glass of wine and smiling. It seemed as if he was the only spectator of this show. But the only ones who did nothing, the only ones in shock at what was happening, were Kira's wives, who watched in disbelief what their beloved husband had just done. But, since the number of brigade members attacking the party was small, they were eradicated, although thanks to the immediate action of Vali, Arthur, Issei, Gabriel, and close friends, they managed to keep them at bay. However, they knew that this attack was just a bluff since they saw in the projections that there were more soldiers in other territories. Hey, brat, what does this mean? Said Azazel. Don't you see? I gave them their gift as a sign of gratitude and to tell them that Kira said, smashing the wine glass. I'm the real traitor. I'm allied with someone bigger than Rizevim. All I care about is conquering the entire underworld. I'll take this stupid dragon who betrayed her mate, giving me an offer I couldn't refuse. So Sirzechs said in shock. That's right, you stupid siskin. I let him go. I'm the one responsible for that Sigwa clan still standing. Ha 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 ha. Kira grabbed his face and burst into laughter. That statement was a cold shower for all the leaders. They were in shock. Many guests, injured in the attack, stared in disbelief at their beloved hero, who turned out to be the real traitor. Look at your faces. He's completely different from when you judged him. But now he's dead. There's nothing you can do to defeat me. Kira said with a psychopathic smile. And who said I'm dead, you idiot? Everyone turns and sees a gigantic red beam fall from the sky and destroy the mansion's roof, revealing a black-haired man with red eyes and strange clothes. Who are you? Kira said angrily. You forgot me so quickly, dear little brother. Now I know why you don't recognize me, and that's because of my appearance. Let me fix that, okay? The torrent of fire began to surround him until his former appearance was revealed. Everyone was excited to see him back, but he wasn't, as he was disgusted by the sight of them all, since he only came to defeat his brother. Impossible. I saw how they killed you. That's impossible. Kira said angrily. I am Issei Nava, the betrothed of Milim Nava, the demonic dragon goddess, the wielder of the black dragon god, and the heir of the wolf clan, which makes me the supreme evil dragon god. Chapter 11 The Battle and There Is No Forgiveness. Underworld Gremory, Clan 3:40 p.m. Everything in the mansion was completely silent as they weren't there to see their former hero. They were happy, but they knew he would never forgive them for what they had done, for betraying him. It's impossible. You should be dead. How is it possible that you're alive, you idiot? Kira said hatefully upon seeing him alive. If I'm alive, it's because two beings gave me another chance at life, and someone else saved me and gave me superior training compared to yours, given that dragon you possess, Issei said seriously, looking at him. He didn't care if he faced him because he knew he wasn't on his level. Kira had now unlocked all of his armors, and Issei could defeat him with his first form of balance breaker, even with Kira and the Diabolos dragon. Ahahaha, I don't care who revived you, my armies are attacking all factions, Kira said arrogantly. Are you sure about that, dear brother? Issei said mockingly. Kira didn't understand, but explosions and screams were coming from the Black Clan soldiers. Kira looked out and saw that her armies were being attacked by monsters from the Black Dragon faction. These were like giant humanoid pigs, making huge cuts to the demons with their swords and axes, and one even did something impressive. Earthquake stamp. One stomped his foot and the ground shook so violently that the enemies fell to the ground and were easier to kill. In each faction there were Milim's forces supporting everyone. Who are they and how is it possible that they can defeat my army? Kira asked angrily, looking at Issei. They are my friends and comrades who were hidden from the supernatural and created their own faction called the Black Dragon faction, and that's because I am the bearer of the most powerful Black Dragon god of all, and I am the last descendant of the Wolf clan, the brown-haired man said. But everyone, upon hearing that he was the bearer of the Black Dragon god, was frightened since they knew his power well, and God never asked to destroy him since he was extremely powerful, especially after stealing a bit of Hydra's power. And now they were even more frightened to know that he was the last descendant of the Wolf clan. How is it possible that you're from that clan? The factions were supposed to have completely destroyed them. Nothing was left of them, Sirzechs asked, sweating with fear as he looked at the brown-haired man with a cold stare. That's because the leader of that clan chose me, and that leader's name is Hyoudou, and I was always the bearer of the Black Dragon and the power of Hyoudou. Oh, I remember now, everyone can come out of hiding. Issei said, peering into the shadows. Then Krumkruch, Katera, Raynor, Middled, Kalwerner, all of Razor's pieces, and even the gods who stood by him and believed in his innocence appeared. Irina and Zenobia also emerged, wearing dragon armor, but very strange armor. Irina's was like the Sekiryuutei's, but yellow, with blue gems and 4 white dragon wings. Zenobia's was almost identical, except she had 2 tails and 2 wings, a very large gem on her chest, and they radiated a great power that surpassed even the celestial dragons, and the god Shiva himself. Zeus, upon seeing his brothers, was somewhat nervous, since he had betrothed his daughters to Kira, the traitor. Brothers, I can do it. Zeus was struck by Poseidon, who was furious. Never call me brother again, you cursed man. When all this is over, we'll return home to discuss your punishment, just like your bastard daughters. You disappoint me. I don't understand why father gave birth to you. You're the worst. I don't know you. You betrayed Issei despite everything he did for us. You're no longer our brother, and you never will be. Poseidon said, and Zeus, seeing his brothers looking at him with hatred and disgust, simply lowered his head in regret. When Michael saw his sister, he tried to speak to her, but she pulled out a large spear of light that was pointed at Michael's neck. Father would be disappointed in you, and for that reason, I, Gabriel, partner of Issei Nava, the Black Dragon god and the last descendant of the Wolf clan, you, Michael, are banished from heaven forever and will never again be a seraph. Gabriel's words left Michael in shock. He knew his sister well, but going to such extremes wasn't possible, and he didn't have that much power. But seeing her aura, which was mixed with that of a wolf and a dragon, he guessed that Issei had marked her as his own. And she extended not 6 wings, but 22 angel wings, wider than any that existed. Asia, you will never pray to father again because you are a disgrace to him. You will never pray to him again. These words made Asia start to cry. When Rias saw Issei, she began to shed tears and tried to go to him. My Issei, you're back. We'll be a family with the children we're expecting. Before she could say anything, Issei raised his hand and held it out in front of him, then closed it tightly. A wave of energy shot out from his hand and spread until it reached all the girls, who felt a great pain. When they looked at their bellies, they noticed that they were no longer large. Now they were flat, but they no longer felt any sign of life inside them. "What did you do?" Rias cried, losing her son. "You think those bastard children are my children? I haven't killed them, and their souls are with me now, except for a few," Issei said, looking at his ex-sister, Serafal, Sona, Tsubaki, Ruruko, and Momo. Only she had her wombs intact, still with her babies, but out of nowhere, her essence changed to that of a dragon. "Why do they get to have their children, and why did you kill ours?" Rias said, crying. "You said ours, how funny. If I am not mistaken, you said you hated me for playing with your feelings, and let me tell you something. I don't love you anymore. None of those bitches anymore, except for them, because they were innocent, they had no ideas, and at least they show more remorse than you stupid bitches who just slept with him like bitches in heat. And that's what I think you are, bitches in heat," Issei said hatefully, making you laugh and cry more, as did the others. But those who were still pregnant were taken by Milam's soldiers to the faction. But then, 11 of different colors appeared behind Issei and formed babies that were floating. "Girls, combine your essences with those of the babies, so that they are yours now, by blood, and not those boars." All those who were with Issei summoned spheres that entered the babies, changing the auras of Issei's former harem to those of the women who had been with him. However, other babies also appeared, and 2 others, who were separate and belonged to Rias, judging by their hair, went to someone above. This person began to descend until they touched the ground, but they were wearing strange armor and had a horn on their forehead. Everyone was frightened, as they now knew who it was. "It can't be, she's Milam, the daughter of the original demon king, and the daughter of the evil dragon goddess. What's she doing here?" She takes out a blue and pink sphere that enters the 2 babies, whose hair soon changes to pink, and one to pink and black, now becoming the leaves of Issei and Milam. "Take them to the fortress." Dragon soldiers appear and take the babies away. Now the battle was going to be fought in the Gremory clan, but Tiamat the dragon of Karma and Cacao also appeared along with his group, and once again the entire faction of heroes appeared and were facing all the renegade demons of the Black clan. "Are you ready, dear little brother?" Issei said mockingly. "You have no idea how eager I was to kill you again, and this time for good," Kira said. "Balance breaker." Kira is surrounded by Aiko's flames, and in an instant, the armor appears. Kira is launched to strike Issei, but what he didn't expect was that Issei, with a single blow, shattered the gem and the chest piece of the armor, sending it flying. But Issei appears behind him and delivers a hammer-like kick that sends him plummeting. "Everyone go and destroy the enemies and leave Darling with him," Milam exclaimed, excited to face so many enemies after so many years without fighting. "Play whatever music you want for this battle that is about to be fought." The Issei. He was in the crater where Kira was struggling to get up, but when he saw Issei he was filled with hatred and entered one of the armor's phases. Mode change. Dragonic Rook. The armor thickens and goes to hit him, but even with one blow it did nothing because it didn't move him even an inch, and Issei puts his hands into fists and with a single squeeze destroys them. He gives him another blow to the face, shattering the helmet, grabs him by the foot and slams him against the ground. Kira stands up and goes to fight him, and all the guests flee the battle in the mansion. Issei was hitting him without much effort because he was very strong without the armor. "You'll see, you bastard," Kira said. Mode change. Welsh Sonic Boost King. The armor thins and moves faster, gathering a dragon shot in his fist. When he strikes Issei in the face, an explosion occurs, but when it disappears, Issei remains unharmed. Exhausted, Issei headbutts him, shattering his helmet, then kicks him, sending him crashing into a wall and getting stuck. Issei appears in front of him and delivers countless blows, causing him to spit blood. Then he grabs Issei by the head and slams him against the ground repeatedly until blood flows from his nose. "You disappoint me. I thought you were stronger, but I see I was wrong, and that dragon too, although a different fate awaits her," Issei said, making Aiko afraid of him. This does not end Cardinal Crimson promotion. He summons his strongest armor, and this time he's serious. Issei just smiles slightly and rushes towards him at full speed, as does Kira. Kira tries to kick him, but he catches it, spinning him around and sending him flying through walls, causing structures to collapse. Issei appears above him and delivers a powerful blow. Kira recovers and tries to use the dragon blaster, but Issei grabs him by the tail and makes him fall again, destroying the mansion. Kira, this time even more furious, makes the armor return to its original state, but twice as strong. But the others. Milam was defeating many without much effort using a sword she possessed, while Gabriel was killing many with the light spears. "You're all in the way, you damn things, so die once and for all. Take this." Dragon-like claw. He moves both hands and claw-like lines emerge from them, destroying a portion of a hectare of the Gremory clan's land. The inhabitants were somewhat frightened by what was happening. You guys are much more entertaining than that traitor," said Volley, who was launching many attacks. He corners a ball of fire and with one blow kills a rogue demon. Arthur, using Collyburn, slashed at the air, killing more than usual. LeFay cast spells of fire, ice, and lightning, killing countless enemies. One of those demons brought a cannon that fired a large laser beam, but a sphere of destruction appeared and completely pulverized it. They didn't understand where he came from, but seeing Milikas up above with his destructive power that surpassed that of his father and grandmother, using wings of destruction, he looked majestic. But he wasn't alone. He was accompanied by Lilith and Office. The three of them look at each other and nod their heads, preparing to fight. Milikas launched many destructive attacks, killing and destroying parts of the city. "Take this, Dark Doom Ray," he shouted, launching a large sphere like lightning that struck a location, causing a huge explosion that killed 1,000 enemies. On a hill, Sirzechs was impressed by his son's power, which far surpassed his own. With militia. He continued launching more attacks, but upon seeing evil dragons approaching in the sky, he looked at someone using yokai energy, flying thanks to it. He looked at him and nodded, removing the hood he was wearing, revealing Kuoh, but now with hair not golden, but with blue and black streaks, and strange markings on his arms like symbols. Both rise into the sky and, combining their best attacks into one, launch it as a red and blue sphere that heads towards the dragons, who have no time to react, and the sphere explodes in the middle of them, killing half of them. Kuoh unleashed many blue flames from his hands, burning countless fallen angels and rogue demons. On the ground, everyone was fighting, and the number of enemies was decreasing somewhat quickly, especially in the other factions, thanks to the allies Issei had with them. Upon seeing more enemy monsters and dragons, Milim decides to do something about it. She rises into the sky and begins to gather a great amount of power in her chest, where there was a navy blue gem that slowly began to shine a little brightly. They didn't all understand what they were doing, but they had a bad feeling. Milim finally gathered so much energy that she screamed. Dragonova. And from her chest comes a gigantic beam of colossal size, dark blue in color, with pink lightning around it, which, when it falls where everyone was, causes a gigantic explosion 10,000 meters high and reached a radius of 40 kilometers away. She was far from the clan. Filling them all, leaving a landscape of destruction and death. From afar, all the smoke could be seen in great quantities. "Ha ha 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 ha, they shouldn't have messed with me and my darling, now he will give me my reward," Milim would say excitedly. Issei was watching his brother, who was already somewhat exhausted. "Give up already, you know you're no match for me," Issei said. "Never. Not until I kill you, you bastard. Because you're responsible for everything. I should have had the power, I should have had everything you had, not you. You're just a virus that needs to be eradicated from the face of the earth. Kira would say it ends here, you stupid dark Diabolos dragon." Before the battle, Kira drank a black liquid that increased his power, putting him on par with Shiva or even surpassing him, but not Issei, who was stronger, especially with the balance breaker that surpassed even God. Kira is surrounded by an evil smoke that eventually disappears, revealing the Diabolos dragon, but evil. "Wow, you're really strong," Issei said, smiling. "Haha, see, my power is something you'll never be able to surpass," Kira said arrogantly. "That's what you think, but you're very wrong in what you say, because I will show you my power, Dark Dragon Balance Breaker." A gigantic red ray falls from the sky and goes to Issei, who is slowly surrounded by an armor identical to that of the Sekiryuutei, but evil and with changes. The armor completely surpassed Kira's, who was frightened to see it. "This ends here," Issei said. Both, at great speed, exchange blows randomly, witnessed by all the inhabitants of the underworld and the Gremory clan. The children, upon seeing the armor, knew it was their hero who had come to save them from evil and protect their dreams once more, but the truth was quite different. Issei punched Kira in the chest, cracking his armor but not much. Kira elbowed him, but Issei's armor remained intact as if it were made of a very resistant material. Rias and the others decide to do something to stop this battle, so they go and intervene before Issei can launch a dark shot at Kira. "Stop. This isn't you. It's that dragon. You have to stop before it completely controls you," Rias cried, but he ignored her. "And why do you think I'll stop, huh?" I asked. "Because we know that deep down you still love us," Yusaka said. "Haha, I love you all, you're not wrong, because I eliminated my feelings for you when Black woke up. Now I love those who were with me, not you," Issei said. "You're lying. I know you love us and you'll come back so we can take that dragon from you and then kill those bitches who." Rias couldn't continue because Issei punched her in the stomach and then grabbed her foot to throw her to where his brother was, who caught her. Issei looked at the others and punched them too, still not caring about their pleas to stop. Each one was bleeding and then they were sent to the ground. Issei looks again at Kira, who was in front of him, to hit him, but Issei hits him below the chin, breaking a part of the helmet. Then he recovers and hits him in the face, but it was no use because Issei gathered a dark shot in his fist and punches him in the stomach, destroying his chest. Kira, this time even more furious, gathers a large amount of energy and then releases it by launching many evil shots everywhere, but not at Issei, who dodged them and luckily threw a sphere at his back with his hand. So many attacks raised a great curtain of dust that I couldn't see anything. How could you beat them even though they loved you? She said, watching the girls being cared for by Grayfia. Don't tell me you really don't love them anymore. What a shame. Kira looked around, but heard something behind her and fired an evil shot, but what hit her was a large piece of rubble. A piece of rubble? He would think to himself. Above him, many pieces of the Gremory mansion appeared in every part, preventing him from seeing where Issei was, but he could hear his voice. You're desperate, you bastard. And to think we were family. Issei said, but Kira looked up, seeing more rubble piled up, and guessed he was there, but he clenched his teeth in frustration and anger. What the hell did you do? Do you think you could escape me? You took away the people I loved, thinking I wouldn't hurt them even though they loved me. Do you have any idea how many times I've had to sacrifice myself for them? Kira launches thousands of evil shots, but none hit them. To end this once and for all, Issei decides to do something about it. The part of his armor covering his chest opens, revealing a red gem that begins to gather evil energy. I don't care if you're my brother, you've already made too many mistakes, and now they will be paid for with your death, take this. Dark Dragon God Blaster. A gigantic torrent of energy erupted from his chest, heading towards Kira, who, seeing this, didn't know what to do since he had no escape. But someone appeared above him and created a large shield that the beam blocked. Issei saw that it was Olivia, who was part of the Black Clan. Issei summoned his two cannons on his shoulders and arms and fired more beams that merged with a larger one, making it colossal. This caused the shield to shatter, hitting Olivia and leaving her severely injured. When the lightning strikes Kira, it causes a huge explosion about 40 kilometers high and a shockwave of 500 kilometers, although luckily the Gremory clan was protected by a shield from Great Red and Office. The smoke clears, revealing Kira nearly dead but without his armor. Issei sees the gem on his left arm and uses his tail to sever it, causing Kira to scream in pain. Issei then places his foot on Kira's chest, applying force and hearing his ribs crack. How does it feel to be humiliated and defeated by someone who only used 10% of their power and could kill Great Red without much difficulty? Issei asked, looking at Kira. But seeing Olivia alive, he decided it was better to end her life, so he fired a thin dark shot that hit her heart, ending Olivia's life instantly. From Kira's severed arm, a green sphere emerged and appeared in front of Issei, who said, I strip you of the title of Celestial Dragon, Iko, and now you will only be an ordinary dragon. By removing the title of a Celestial Dragon or Dragon King, their power is reduced to that of a normal dragon. But Issei, you can't do this to me. What about our promise to free me and start a family together? Iko cried inside the sphere. You should have thought about it before betraying me and replacing me with that bastard. I'm going to set you free, but you'll never be near me again. Issei takes the sphere and with a squeeze destroys it, but in front of him appears a girl with red hair like Rias, a good figure, and she looked to be about 18 years old. Upon seeing Issei, she simply began to cry for losing the man she loved and cherished with all her being. The souls of each of its previous wielders were now resting in peace. Now get out and never come back, Issei said seriously. Iko obeyed and began walking, still crying and hugging herself for being so stupid and letting herself be swayed by Kira's words. Kira, by the way, had time to escape with the help of an envoy from his boss, being seen by Issei, who didn't pay any attention because he was very weak and without Iko he was nothing. He rises to the sky, seeing the entire Gremory clan in near ruins, but he sees a large crowd of people and children from the clan, with signs that say Oppi Dragon. He becomes extremely angry. They betray him, burn everything that belonged to him, and in the center he sees a statue of himself. Oppi Dragon, Oppi Dragon, Oppi Dragon. Issei gets so annoyed that he decides to do something about it. He extends his right hand and with a squeeze, gravity falls on them, causing them to fall to the ground and preventing them from getting up, except for Milim's armies. The child could barely lift his head, seeing that Issei was about 30 meters above them. WY Dragon Oppi. They call me that despite what they did to me. Don't be hypocrites, all of you betrayed me. I swore to protect your dreams and be your hero, but when the leaders were playing me, I thought demons weren't the kind to be fooled by simple tests and words, but I see I was wrong. You're the damn demons who should never have existed. Now I won't protect your dreams, but rather I will show you your worst nightmares. The Oppi dragon died long ago, and now the most powerful evil dragon god of all has been born. Issei said with hatred for everyone. The children began to cry, seeing that now he would no longer be able to protect their dreams, but would instead show them their worst nightmares. Issei saw the statue of himself and with a dark shot destroyed it completely. As punishment, every faction that betrayed me will never again see the light of the sun or the night, but everything will be covered in the darkness of the red eclipse. Red eclipse, you are everywhere. Show your enemies your darkness. Rise once more, cover the skies, cover the night, and obey my call that all may be covered in your darkness. The sun of the underworld began to turn blood red due to the eclipse of the black dragon that was occurring not only in the underworld but also in Hyoudou, Gregory, Asgard, Heaven, and Olympus. In those realms, the eclipse appeared and now they will never again see the light of the sun and the light of the moon. The children cried non-stop as they watched him, but he decided to leave, so he went to where the others were. When he arrived, he saw that all the leaders were there. We order you to make the eclipse disappear. Azazel would say, but Issei goes and punches him. You think you're in a position to give me orders, you damned crow? You're not, because I'm capable of destroying you and your whole shitty faction. Issei, please make the eclipse disappear. We made a mistake, but this can be fixed. Sirzechs said. So you think that just saying sorry will fix all the damage you caused? You're not far off if you think I'll forgive you, because I won't forgive fools like you who call yourselves leaders when you're just replacements for the originals. You're swayed by false evidence without even checking if it's real, or you're swayed by the words of all those prisoners who were killed along with Tartarus. You don't deserve to be called leaders. Without further ado, I'll take my leave. I hope you regret what you did. Issei said, making a portal appear behind him, and everyone entered it, even the army. He left, leaving them all in that place, but now everything was about to change. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.